spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. President William Ruto is to jet out of the country today for Tanzania to attend the 21st Ordinary Summit of the East African Community Heads of State. Ruto made the announcement during the 9th Annual African Special Economic Zones meeting held at the KICC on Thursday. He said the recently approved ESC Special Economic Zones regulations of 2024 will ensure free movement of goods across member states, bolstering regional integration and positioning economic zones as catalysts for industrialization and growth. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has claimed the government was behind the incident where he was forced to run for his life after goons disrupted a funeral service he was attending in Limuru. Gachagua, who was driven out of the venue under a hail of stones, said a specific group followed him as he went to his car, which they proceeded to attack with stones and iron bars. He added that earlier this week, the government withdrew the final aspects of his security that were in place after his impeachment. He went on to allege that the decision to withdraw his security was to leave him exposed to the kind of attack witnessed on Thursday. The incident occurred as former area MP Peter Mwathi was addressing the gathering. The MP had stopped speaking for a moment to get another microphone when the tent where Gachagua was seated was dismantled, forcing attendees, including Gachagua, to flee the scene. Video posted on X showed the goons throwing plastic chairs at the escapees. Several people were injured. Church leaders condemned the violence and blamed the government for the chaos.
Ninauliza Mheshimiwa Rais na serikali yako kama kabisa mko na maneno na huyu jamaa Ligiji, tafadhali tufanye reconciliation, maridhiano, mkae chini muongee, muondoe tofauti zenu, mwache kuidana, kwa sababu mahali ambapo kwa uwanja ule mnapigania vita kuna watoto, kuna walemavu, kuna watu ambao ni wakongwe. Hatutaki mambo kama hii.
Laikipia Governor Joshua Irungu has suspended the entire county revenue board following widespread allegations of bribes and demands for sexual favors from job seekers. Irungu said the allegations against the board were serious and thorough investigations had commenced. Speaking after handing over renewal of contracts letters to 250 revenue collectors set to commence on December 1st, he urged any job seeker who had been subjected to unwarranted demands to come forward and make the claims to his office.
Kati ya malalamishi ilitokea wakati ule ni ya kwamba kuna wengine walihogana ndio wapate kazi, kuna wengine walisema kuna mambo mengine ya ushalaiti iliendelea, sexual favors, which I cannot entertain as a father of this county. Nimeamua ya kwamba kuanzia leo hiyo board ya Revenue Authority, the county Laikipia County Revenue Authority Board, tumeisimamisha kazi kuanzia leo mpaka wakati tusugushe, tuangalie, tupate the evidences.
The ODM National Election Coordinating Committee has urged candidates dissatisfied with the outcomes of the grassroots elections to submit their petitions by today. In a statement, the committee chairperson Emily Awita said appellants must pay a fee of 3,000 shillings and lodge their appeals through the committee's online platform. Awita noted that while the exercise was smooth and successful in over 98% of polling units, the party noted isolated cases of violence and disruptions. She assured that the party would investigate these incidents and take appropriate action against those responsible, regardless of their status within the party or society. Meanwhile, the party has announced that it's ready to fight in the 2027 presidential election. Here's its national chairperson, Gladys Wanga.
And what we want to say is ODM, by the way, is the only party that is able to carry out this kind of election. Other parties wanasikaa tu hivi na vile hawajafanya hii. So ODM, also the registrar political parties, said is the only party that is following fully the constitution of Kenya 2010. Kwa hivyo ODM ndio chama yetu. We will strengthen our party.
Australia will ban children under 16 from using social media after its parliament approved the world's strictest laws. The ban, which will not take effect for at least 12 months, could see tech companies fined up to $32.5 million if they don't comply. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the legislation is needed to protect young people from the harms of social media, something many parent groups have echoed. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda. I mean, I don't understand. What are they saying?
How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes. My name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of God.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who is a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. Since I'm not shipping up. You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2,
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Nyeri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapa?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
Start your day.
Welcome Kenya, welcome the globe, welcome the continent. Traffic, goodness gracious me. It's a replica of yesterday. There is absolutely no traffic anywhere. And if you don't believe me, look at Thika Road. There is hardly any traffic. Maybe 2 or 3 cars. That isn't traffic. Those are 3 cars. If you look at Waiyaki Way, similar story. Waiyaki may be there, but there is no way for vehicles because there are no vehicles. If you look at Mombasa Road, my goodness gracious me, it's like a stadium without players, without a sport, without a game. There is nothing happening on Mombasa Road. Southern Bypass, passing by itself, no traffic. Eastern Bypass, something similar. There is nothing passing by the Eastern Pathway. So, folks, have a lovely day. If it rains, well, it'll rain. Have a lovely day.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
15 minutes after 6. How you doing? It's Friday. It's the last Friday of this year.
No,
Next. It is.
Sorry. Huh?
Do you have another Friday this year?
This year? This
Yeah.
is November.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you have another
December
Friday?
can't be counted in this year.
Aish.
I'm just asking. You
Does
never know
December
things.
exist?
Oh, December doesn't exist.
Especially Fridays in December. Do you remember any Friday last year, of December last year?
See, it just went whoosh.
The last Friday in recorded memory
Oh, Bas.
of 2024.
You have to, you know.
Is this one.
authenticates it.
Anything else? Fongala Ballet.
Fongala Morit.
Yeah, but you people are also not nice. Yesterday I was playing that game nicely, so that today we're not coming to work. So yesterday was going to be Friday.
You know,
I said have a lovely
needed
weekend.
to do was raise your eyebrows. All you
But
needed
that's
to do
what I
was,
did.
no, you didn't. All you needed to do was say, wait.
You guys don't trust me.
Or you.
Wait, but it's a topic. Trust. Where does trust come into this conversation?
Sasa mmekuja kazi.
Of course we trust you.
Mkafanya sasa tukuje kazi.
That's why we're here, because we trust you. We trust you. If you doubt it, we listen to you.
You guys bwana. Anyway, mambo ikoje city?
Mambo sawa tu.
Kwa sawa tu?
Yeah, today isn't that cold. No, it's getting warmer. It's like the rain brings warmth. How that happens, I don't know.
Very good.
On the warm front.
Do you the one who understands these things?
It's the warm front.
Wait, Zimweka mute you.
Watakaji?
Mute your live stream.
Oh, bas.
Hapa tunacheza na maneno, ngeli ni ya genge. Hawelewi sio?
Kabisa?
Haya, Lydiah found the song that we were looking for yesterday. There it is. This is Joseph Kamaru, okay? Joseph who?
Kamaru. What was he saying?
Joseph Kamaru. What's that song in the lectures of Chini, my friend? This song.
If there was a freedom fighter, it was this man. In fact, yes. His songs were
so basically this song
uplifting.
Yeah, this song is basically saying that we are the ones who, it's talking about the community, that they went through all these tribulations in the hands of the colonizer, were beaten, persecuted, but then God stood with them. The rain came, they planted crop, and they harvested, and they continued. So anything else that comes after that,
it's like child's play.
Nini mnasema bwana, whatever, what else?
We can handle it.
What else can you bring our way? Now there are very many people who are currently not feeling this song. Kuna watu wanasikia hii wimbo ikichezwa mahali wanasema bas, these ones have started. Wanasema these ones have started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ndio hiyo. This is the one I was telling you. Now, especially with the things that happened in Remuru yesterday.
In Remuru.
Remuru.
You play this song anywhere today, you'll be looked at. You will be looked at. Let me tell you what we shall discuss. Anyway, we are still in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and we want to continue having these conversations because these are important conversations. We are seeing gender-based violence in this country in very many forms, all right? And we'll be joined by Baldwin Anyiga, who is an economist, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, Joanne Kenyanjui, who's an GBV responder and gender champion at Grassroots Kenya, and Sylvia Maina, who is from UN Women. She is a gender communication specialist for East and Southern Africa. They will be here at 7 a.m. for this conversation. At 8 o'clock, we've been talking about this new show on Showmax. It's called what? Blue Green? No, Black and Blue. It's called Black and Blue. So the Black and Blue, the two casts from the Black and Blue, Hilary Mwangi Wamite and Andrew Nganga Kimani, will be joining us at 8 o'clock. We talk about the film industry in Kenya and how it's doing. So we are seeing more and more productions coming out of Kenya and actually getting platforms where these are being showcased. Even Kenyan theaters are playing Kenyan productions. It's a good thing. But what more needs to happen? So they'll come and give us their experience And what will also tell us a little bit more about the black and blue, how they got these jobs, how the casting was done, the directing and all. And then, tuone nini? Hiyo maneno vile itaenda. Children have closed school. Those who are in Form 4 have finished. They have gone home.
Yep.
Someone was saying that Kenyans keep saying that I cleared Form 4. You didn't clear, it's not a bush. You're like, in this country.
It is, it's a mountain.
You clear Form 4, my friend. So those that have cleared Form 4 are at home and they're meeting their siblings, including those who are in college, those who are, for example, at Moi University and they have not been to school for a while. All of them are at home. Let's talk about adolescents, teenagers, and unpacking the truth about adolescent mental health. Somebody who is a psychologist, a TEDx speaker, an adolescent mental health consultant, Bini Brambat Sharma, will be joining us at 9 a.m. That's our Health Friday conversation today. It's talking about, again, mental health amongst our adolescents. Remember, we had the other doctor psychologist from the Aga Khan University Hospital. And he was telling us what he has seen over the years and the changes that he's noticing, especially among the youth who come to see him. And it's a big issue. It's a big issue. We can't sweep it under the carpet. 22 minutes after 6. Let's look at the weather forecast. And then maneno itaendaje?
Bam bam.
Bam bam. Amambia city asome weather forecast.
Bas.
Just look at the big numbers city, the big ones. The small ones, ignore.
All right.
Wait.
What?
Wait.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Looking today, Nairobi 15 degrees Celsius. That I think means it's cold. Kakamega, same, equally cold at 15. There's a place called Mvita in Kenya. That's Mombasa actually, 26 degrees. Kampala, Uganda, 18 degrees. New York is freezing, 5 degrees Celsius. Nyeri, my goodness, 15. These Kenyan towns are all at 15. Someone organized this. Nigeria, Lagos, 24 degrees. Johannesburg, cold, 10 degrees. I'm not going to pronounce that one. Congo DRC, 23 degrees. London is in the UK. London, it is 4 degrees Celsius. Nakuru town, 15. What happened to this Kenyan town? 15 degrees. Mogadishu, 26 degrees. That is actually warm. Lugari, that is somewhere in western Kenya, 13 degrees, a bit of a change.
Eldoret.
Dongcheng, that's a district in China, 12 degrees. Kisumu, 19 degrees. Goodness, they've tried. Addis Ababa, 10 degrees Celsius. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, 27. Paris, this is freezing, 2 degrees Celsius. Malindi, 26 degrees. Now, those of you in Nairobi, you have a lovely day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Watu wako.
Wengi
sana. Agri Momanyi says, good morning. Do these politicians really care about the feelings of the bereaved? Honestly, I have to say that, and I know we're going to discuss it, but it was an extremely poor, abhorrent showing yesterday. It was terrible. Yes, you attacked people, you attacked somebody, but at the end of the day, you went there for burial. No, it was wrong. It was wrong. Don Sabo is greeting us and says, how are you? Ndu City and Eric.
How are you?
Me? I'm fine.
Okay.
Michael Olanda is greeting us, says Team Kubwa, what a way to end the week and month. Cyprian Kamboni says, good morning, Spice FM family, greetings from Dayton. Rose Grace says, tuned in from Tamu. Morning, Spice team, continue doing a good job. Kudos to the good job. Blessed Friday and a weekend ahead. Desmond Otis is here. Leo says, good morning. KK has said all under 18 are not Kenyan, even if the constitution says otherwise. Yes, we heard that yesterday. Even if you have a birth certificate saying that you were born here. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay. I don't understand what you've just said.
I said exactly what PS for Immigration said yesterday. That a birth certificate does not guarantee you citizenship of Kenya.
Okay, what does that?
ID.
Oh, now you're saying that people are forging birth certificates.
Well, so you can't just. Kwani, what makes you think they can't forge IDs?
You can't just show up at you and say, because I have a birth certificate, I'm Kenyan.
Don't harass me.
It has to be a birth certificate that has come from the official register of persons.
It's very interesting. I was at an establishment yesterday, and they looked at my ID, told me this one is old version. That's what they would tell me.
You should have told them even your old version.
I don't know what they were thinking, because looking at me, what were they seeing? Anyway, then they asked if I had a birth certificate. I said, of course I do. I said, but your ID doesn't indicate the exact date on which you're born. I said, no, it doesn't.
What establishment is this, City?
You went to an establishment, they were asking you for identification. Which establishment was this?
Don't worry, I will tell you.
Here they wanted young people. You know those ones where they say, we want an ID so that only the young people can enter.
Yes. So I was very surprised. But I said, well, no one ever asked me for the exact date on which I was born, but I do have a birth certificate. So this issue of birth certificate ID, I don't know what to know that, but why do these people keep sprigging up all these things?
Out of the blue.
I think it's context. The way I'm hearing that, it's context, because I would also say the same. Having seen the way kind of Kenyan passports and IDs and birth certificates are hawked in this country.
Eric, the question I was asking is, what isn't hawked?
You can't just
you can't say birth certificate, you can't say ID, you can't say passport.
You can't say just because you've rocked up with a birth certificate, you're therefore
a Kenyan.
But then the issue that he should be addressing is to make sure that you get rid of those ones.
Exactly.
And tell us the security features.
Wacha tusalimia watu wengi.
Tuendelee.
Abere Bethwell says, good morning, greetings from Gesha. CT, why should there be peace? Caravans where there is no violence. Okay. Gilbert Kimuge says good morning. Wants to hear the Kasongo song again. H. Mwangi, greetings from Melbourne. Eric, yesterday you left us high and dry waiting for the Kamuru song. So now he has done my part. Ali Adel says good morning, Team Spice. Good morning from Elwak in Mandera County. Good morning, says Eliana Yabesh. Pap D says happy Friday, Ndus. Eric and CT. Seems Kamala wants to be governor in state of California. Well, okay. Teresia Moirori says good morning. Dr. Venfic is also tuned in and is asking questions about Shah Schiff. Vincent Ndisho says good morning. Frederick Cheboy, Robert Mbogo, Wilfred Odhiambo says my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? I think it was the other way. Margaret Wanjohi says good morning. Erica War is greeting us. Deno Mwanza says he mwaka imenda. Merry Christmas indeed. Anne Gore, beautiful lady, greets us as well. George Okoh is greeting us and says Wameguza. Why are they guzaring Murima? It's absurd, backward, and purely ignorant. Johnston Asava says good morning. It's the end of the week and we're happy and sad at the same time. Oh, why? Na hii babu utaona to hii dunia. CT on the traffic again. I know it should become a thing. I second that. I wish you guys all a good weekend. Thank you so much. Jiwe says good morning. Interesting morning vibes. What a way to end the week indeed. Nyadi Chukunzira. Louis Rudasingwa says good morning as well. People from around Kenya and of course around the region and indeed around the world. Karibuni sana. Agola says what a way to start the morning. Deborah is here. B. Mwangi. Sylvester Kiengo. Morgan is here as well. Where? Many people. Lucy K. Deknis Mwat. Margaret Wanjohi. Wairimu, we see you. Good morning. You people have finished eating turkey, Abi. Your stomachs are now full.
Oh, yes.
Everybody has eaten turkey to their fill. Good morning, everybody. Karibuni sana.
Very, very good. Let's just go here. City, give us the proverb, and then we shall take a look at traffic.
Okay.
Yes.
We are in Eswatini. The proverbs are from the kingdom of Eswatini.
Eswatini. Mr. Jolly?
Eswatini.
Okay.
What did I say?
Eswatini.
Don't worry, City. We didn't hear.
You didn't hear? Okay. A runaway monk never speaks well of his convent.
Runaway monkey.
Monk.
Never speaks well of?
The convent.
The convent. All right.
A runaway monk never speaks well of a convent.
A runaway monk is a deserter.
Yeah. Why would he?
It's probably the fault of the abbey or the monastery. It's not his. If the monastery was different, he would have stayed. But he left because that place was all those other people.
Oh, I'm confusing it because I just assume that a convent is only where sisters are. Well, nuns and sisters in a convent, monks in a monastery.
Yes.
Yeah.
The interpreters of this wrote convent.
They should have written monastery.
They should have.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's confusing
or
us.
Or abbey.
Yeah, it's confusing us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just correct
Change it to monastery.
I've changed the proverb.
Because I was going to say, what's a monk doing in a convent? It's a naughty monk.
She's gone visiting.
Would he speak well of that?
Would he speak? That's what I'm saying. Because it would have been. He would speak well of the conference.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so a quick look at what it looks like now as we get into Friday. Not much happening. Indeed, likely to see lower levels of traffic this morning. As you're coming off a thicker superhighway, again, that is yet to build up. Really, everywhere you look around the city, traffic is not the thing at this hour. We'll wait and see what Friday turns out to be. But for now, I think you get where you're going without an issue whatsoever. Remember, right around Haile Selassie, that whole area already closed. It's going to be that way until the end of the year, well into January. And as I continue with that, it's going to cause some traffic, so plan ahead. If you can avoid it, do so. We'll keep checking, see what it looks like through the morning. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Some headlines.
Hiya, on the front page of the Standard this morning, IEBC, we are in a crisis. Only court can save us. Delays in recruiting commissioners for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has come back to bite the country. The CEO says the delimitation of boundaries process is stuck. After all, deadlines were missed, and they are waiting for the top court to give an advisory opinion on what happens next. Breathe. Why is it so hard to do? Okay. Parastatal heads in soup over e-citizen platform. Dun, 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 dun. What did they do? Let's see. Mixed bag for Ogamba's 100 days as CS. This is a critical ministry. What has he done so far?
100 days?
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
What are people stuck on this 100 days?
It's like a measure. 3 months, a quarter. It's a measure. Like, within that time, you should have felt some, waves in terms of what you've done.
It's time to just familiarize yourself.
Gachagua runs into funeral goons. Former deputy president was attacked by thugs while attending a funeral service in Limuru yesterday. He escaped unhurt, but his convoy was stoned, with his security getting injured and vehicles damaged. He laid the blame on state operatives. And it was interesting because last evening, then Kiambu Senator, a couple of other senators, Kabadi Wabushoba, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, all found themselves at DCI in the evening saying, what are those?
Even Uhuru went to DCI?
Yes.
Allah?
Interpol holds 24 Kenyans for cyber fraud. Those guys. Now Interpol has said,
we're the ones holding them.
Let's have a conversation with these guys and then we'll let them back to you. Okay, so Naso. I don't have anything else.
That's it, eh? City, do you have the other thing? I can tell you what's in the
Nation. You tell us and I will tell you what is in the Star. But tell us what's in the Nation first.
Oh, let me do the Nation for you.
Do the Nation
because Lydia has done like that.
And then I'll tell you the Business Daily. And the Taifa Ilaleo.
Taifa Waleo. Sasa.
Hoyoni?
Nimeiona.
Yo, twende.
This man, Omtata, is on the front page of The Nation. Busia Senator Okoiti Andrew Omtata is a man on a mission. Buoyed by support from the youth during the recent anti-government protests, he has set his sights on the highest seat on the land. Should be in the land, but okay. But first, he has formed a team to advise him on his chances in 2027. For the State House contest, will the activist turned politician maneuver the rough and tumble of Kenya's politics? Does he have the financial muscle to mount a presidential campaign? Questions. Of course, there's the hired goons story. Hired goons after me, claims Gachagua, as chaos erupts at funeral. Those were not pretty pictures. Let's see. Climb down. Adani deals legally terminated. Mbadi tells the House team. You people, we are telling you it has been terminated. Them they're saying.
Bring the paper.
Show us the paper.
Let the receipt.
Don't just be telling us. Come and show us the paper. Otherwise, all these things you're saying is what?
Will you rudisha pesa? Let the receipt.
County payroll boss who inflated his pay put his wife on salary to lose ill-gotten wealth. Former payroll manager ordered to forfeit more than 24 parcels of land, 2 tractors and a motor vehicle to the government. Because, surely, how did you get it? Yeah, so that's what it looks like, guys.
That's it, eh? The Business Daily, how Uganda, Ethiopia saved Kenya from power rationing. Electricity imports from Uganda and Ethiopia surged 76.7% in the 9 months to September as Kenya raced to avoid electricity rationing and curb blackouts. So 76.7% where power was coming from Uganda and Ethiopia. Okay. The KRA boss gets powers to pick deputies in amended law. Oil marketers revive push for increased profit margin, and banks lift liquid assets to 3.3 trillion. Commercial banks have raised their share of liquid assets, including treasury bills and cash on tills, to 3.3 trillion in June from 2.9 trillion at the same time last year. They also have a conversation on Boss Talk with Patrick Kanyoro, he of the Chamber of Miners. Okay. Siti, do you have the thingy?
Sita.
Yeah.
Right hand. Top right hand corner until green. Forget it. That one isn't them. Drag queen Akinyi headed to jail. She did not pass go. She did not collect 200. Went straight to jail. Turns focus on her gang. Okay?
Allah.
Why popular politician eyeing key state job has lost hope. Somebody was eyeing job. Hope. Gone. It's life, isn't it? Goodness. Over 1,000 children held in detention centers, says a report. God. Really? Okay. News. Brief. Nairobi, Kisumu, Nakuru lead in the new HIV infections. Okay. Gachagua allies at DCI over alleged abduction. Hey, this country. Gosh. A Catholic Diocese of Maryland announces 404 vacancies. Bang in the middle of the paper. Okay. Half of all people living in Nairobi are aged between 15 and 34. And this is the age where most new infections occur. That's in the headline of the Star.
Katika Taifa Leo, tunahitaji mwokozi. Omtata asema Kenya iko katika hali ngumu kiuchumi sababu ya utawala mbaya. Omtata. Karua sasa ataliki rasmi Azimio. Amshambulia Ruto huku akiondoa na Kenya katika muungano wa Raila. Karua had a party meeting yesterday where they formally left Azimio.
It was a WhatsApp group. Kenya left.
Azimio. Haro. Mjukuu wa Moi asalimu amri kotini. Baada ya miaka mingi ya kuhepa akubali kulea watoto. He's a grandson of Moi. Kwa amehepa sasa amekubali sawa hawa watoto nitalea. Mungu akileta watoto.
Inakuja na?
Naleta na sahani ya mzee. Gachagua aponea padogo katika vurugu mazishini. And then katikati mwa gazeti. Hatua ya wazee wa Mlima Kenya kujumuisha jamii ya Kamba katika muungano wa Gema yampa matumaini. Nyota ya Kalonzo ya angaza. Kwa sasa kuna mikakati ya jamii za Mlima Kenya kumuunga Kalonzo mkono kwa urais katika uchaguzi mkuu ujao. Kuna Nairobi hapa iko haraka. Immorality, how medic was nabbed for raping a patient in Ruiru Hospital. Kakamega Forest, the Green Lodge where broke love but risk it all. Driving change, fighting HIV and AIDS, one truck stop at a time. From love to ruin, how an affair ended in hospital and police cells. This is a story of Kisumu, of Nakuru. Court student damages Airbnb mattress following fallout with boyfriend. And then bang in the middle of the Nairobian this week, love and betrayal. Benga artist Florence Wangari reveals the dirty secrets of marriage. How a musician lost lover to her daughter.
Wow.
And then granddaughter. Yep.
Me, I was still like, wow.
The artist's jaw-dropping revelation has left tongues wagging with the latest of the man's conquest named after her. The confession has her fans likening the unbelievable episode to the sex scandal in Equatorial Guinea. So Florence Wangari, she says that she was married. And then the husband started going out with her daughter. Okay? So the husband left Wangari to move in with her daughter. They went on. The daughter got a daughter. Husband left the daughter and went for the daughter. Are we together so far?
Does somebody need to ask the man a couple of questions, perhaps?
A lineage. When you talk about lineage.
Oh, wow.
This is a guy who gets it.
Jeez.
So the child now, with the daughter's daughter, is named after the child's?
Hang on. Wait. Can I ask a question?
Ask.
The offspring of this daughter, is it his?
I don't know.
Because that would be quirky.
I don't.
If he actually was, and then he decided to have relations with his granddaughter.
I don't think so.
I hope not.
But then they get a child with the daughter.
He actually had one.
Yeah, but you see now the child has to be named after the child's grandmother. So who's the grandmother?
To be the daughter.
No. Who happens to be his former
first
lover?
wife.
Yes.
How's that for a stark reminder of your sins every day? Hi, baby. Actually, no. Hi, mommy. Sure. Crazy.
It's madness.
Wallahi.
Anyway, so tell us this story. What happened in Remuru?
Tasa, allow me to let you know. There was a funeral service for a young man called Ndwati. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay.
And of course, people had come. The area MP was around. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was also there to then, of course, pay their respects. Now, as they were doing all of these things, and we saw the videos, suddenly, these people I don't understand. They said page 8. I happened to be on page 8, and it's not there.
They said it's on page 8.
What is that? Not 8.
Page 4.
Oh, so it's actually
no, page 8.
But page 8 is not that.
There's no page 8.
There's page 8, but it has something else. Well, like today's that day.
Ndio iko hapo on the side. It's on page 8.
So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The final, it's just one column.
Gachagua runs for his dear life after goons invade burial event. Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was forced to flee for safety after suspected hired goons armed with crude weapons descended at a funeral he was attending in Remuru. Trouble started when former Limuru MP, Mr. Peter Mwadhi, stood up to address mourners who had gathered to bury Erastus Ndwati, a villager. Mean-looking goons immediately went for him, causing a stampede as pro-Mwadhi supporters sought to guard him. The goons increased in numbers. Actually, and I watched the video because it actually happened like that. The goons increased in number, and in a split second, the main dais was uprooted, literally, with goons throwing projectiles as another bunch chased away the mourners and broke plastic seats. The tent in which Gachagua sat was destroyed, forcing a security team to help him to safety as more goons ran towards him, hurtling plastic chairs and stones. Earlier, there was concern as electricity was disconnected in what mourners suspected to be foul play. Surprised villagers, stunned by the sudden turn of events, fled the funeral as Gachagua and his entourage, including Kiambu Senator Karungu Wathagua, took to their heels looking for cover. They disappeared into their cars as stones and seats rained in the otherwise sober function. The folks who were at the funeral said at the very beginning, when they saw guests coming to sit, they were really suspecting that there was something wrong that was going to happen. Why? Because where former Deputy President went to sit, there was a seat next to him that was empty. It was supposed to be for Mr. Mwadhi, who's the area MP. Mwadhi came and left there and went and sat somewhere else. So they were wondering, why is this man moving? Does he know something we do not know? Because essentially, as a VIP, he's supposed to sit there as well. So now later on, when they saw the chaos had erupted, then they said, okay, did he know that this thing was going to happen? And if so, why? The violence that we saw yesterday was actually quite terrible. Somebody would have been badly injured. They actually used the dais and all the materials, the poles, everything to attack. They were throwing chairs. It didn't matter who they hit. Somebody would have been very hurt. But for me, the thing that was even worse is that there was a body lying in the casket.
It was actually somebody's funeral.
Yes.
There's a family that is.
Ndwati.
There's a family that is there to bury their person.
They've not buried him. The coffin is there. The family are surrounding the coffin. They've not buried this young man. Now it has become political violence. People are throwing things all over the place. Vehicles are running. Cars are destroyed. The family members are crying. Where do we take? Then now you can imagine family members are now trying to carry this coffin and take it to a safe place. And chairs and things are also being thrown at them. What are we doing? reducing what should be a sober, honoring moment into some political nonsense. Why? It was terrible. And if you want to go to the next part of the conversation, for an attack on Gachagua, it doesn't matter. If you don't like him, it is okay. But what was done yesterday was absolutely wrong. To attack in such a manner, to attack at all, was wrong.
You know, these individuals have no direct beef with Gachagua.
The goons for hire.
Because none of them was saying, you know, this Gachagua man is the one who killed this guy. You know, there's those things that you say in a funeral. At a funeral, people are saying that this person is responsible and they are coming here to shed crocodile tears and mock the family. So we want this person out. Or such kind of things. What is the beef with the people who attended yesterday's funeral? Let's even say that it's not Gachagua that they were after. It was somebody else in the entourage of Gachagua's.
Who
and why?
Who?
And why? For what exact reason?
Okay, fine, Eric. Let's even agree and say that you have beef. Is it in somebody's son's funeral that you're going to come and air your beef? That is my problem. Why should you come and do it there? Why should you do it there? It shows the measure of the value of some things, honestly speaking. What is that? Who do you want to show? Because you knew it was going to be on TV. You know that people were going to talk about it. You think that you've scored 1 point against your political rival. What? Because it's obvious that those young men who were doing that thing, they were hired.
They were clearly hired.
Yes, clearly. The manner in which they attacked. Because they were praying. And then suddenly you just see a crowd of people with blue chairs everywhere. Come on.
Okay, so let's turn this the other way around as well. This habit of people just standing up for funerals. So let's say, was this a political funeral?
No, it wasn't. In fact, he said it himself. This young man, Erastus Ntuati, died. A young guy. He died, and so he came to share. What he said is he came to show his support for someone in the community that he wanted to...
Does he know this guy?
He said he knows him now. So why should he even show up at the funeral in the first place is what you're asking?
Yes, it's a valid question because funerals have a crowd. And politicians love crowds. And that's a crowd you didn't have to do anything. You'll find a crowd there.
Why do politicians find... And this has not been happening in Mount Kenya where people turn up for funerals so they can start talking. But now we are seeing it was the same thing last weekend.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Where there was all this heckling against, let's not hear this message of condolence from... But that was a politician anyway.
Yeah.
It was the MCA who had died. And so there's a message of condolence that has been brought on behalf of the president, on behalf of the deputy president and others. And there were former cabinet secretary, advisor to the president now. There was that, and we saw the kerfuffle that just went on there. This one of yesterday's, did all these guys need to go for that funeral? I mean,
did all of them need to go?
Was he politically aligned? I mean, why this particular funeral?
Yeah,
anyway, besides that, I agree with you. What kind of violence was witnessed there yesterday? By now, we should be seeing something from the police.
Yes, come on.
Something from the police, a proper crackdown and saying these are the people who are involved, we have seen, we have arrested, we've nabbed them, and a statement from the police IG or the local police boss saying this was wrong, we did not anticipate this to happen, we are going to take action on it, because it just sends a wrong picture.
Very bad picture.
We can't start like this. We can't not start like this. And there are those now who are in government who are laughing at it.
Sasa.
Ajue. Yeah, they were the same people who were on the other side with him. And they were talking about Uhuru attacking them. Now there are people who are taking photos and reminding us, unakumbuka Northlands. Unakumbuka.
Now see what has happened.
Unakumbuka.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. And if you look, nobody has even said a thing. Nobody has set mark on the gas yet. And look at what is already happening. Come on, man. It's not a good indicator.
It's a bad thing. This is a really, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. Huku haya ya kijiri, we know that we ought to have an IEBC in place, but we don't have an IEBC in place. And the reason is not because we don't have Kenyans who are qualified, not because we don't have money to fund IEBC, not because of this and the other, but just because the 5 people who run this country and they think it's theirs have decided that we cannot have an IEBC because they cannot agree. Because they want to have somebody who they feel will run the IEBC
as they like it. Absolute nonsense, yet again.
This has led to the delays in the reconstitution of the IEBC, backhanded attempts at changing the law on IEBC so that we can have control on who gets into the IEBC. Now, for that reason, we have missed the deadline on boundary reviews. Delayed review of boundaries for electoral units has thrown the country into a constitutional crisis owing to the lack of a substantive IEBC. The CEO of IEBC, Marjan Hussein Marjan, yesterday said the Commission is waiting on an advisory by the Supreme Court on whether deadlines for the boundary review process could be extended and whether the delimitation exercise can be conducted without commissioners in place. Notably, the delimitation of boundaries is long overdue, with the March 2024 deadline having elapsed. Article 89(2) of the Constitution provides that the IEBC shall review names and boundaries of constituencies at intervals of not less than 8 years and not more than 12 years. The last review was carried out in March 2012. Not more than 12 years is March 2024. Constitution says not less, not more. When you go beyond the more, you are out of the constitutional timelines. The lack of commissioners following the exit of Chairman Chebukati and Commissioners Boya Molu and Abdi Gulie, whose tenures expired in January, has compounded the situation. The CEO was appearing before the National Assembly's Public Petitions Committee and said its decision to move to the Supreme Court had been informed by an advisory by the Attorney General, who had warned against conducting the delimitation exercise without commissioners in office. Marjan said that the AG had also warned that failure to conduct the delimitation exercise could lead to legal challenges, compromise political stability, social cohesion, and electoral integrity. I am sure the same Attorney General who was advising the CEO of IEBC that this is a hot potato, you'd be touching on something that touches on the Constitution, has briefed the President. Okay? And when the President received this brief and saw that, my God, we are running outside of the Constitution, and he remembers that he saw and held the Bible and said, I will protect, uphold and defend this Constitution. When we are outside of the Constitution on such a matter, what should he do? If it's a matter that says, all right, we have not reconstituted IEBC because, as we are saying that I am controlling, okay, so they've had the thing, what was it called, that thing of Bomas? NADCO, right? They've had the NADCO report, they've done it, haya, sawa, now can we start reconstituting? Then there are issues, is it Kokimuli or is it the other guy who are going to sit in that panel? Okay, it goes to court. Now, they have agreed it's Kokimuli who is going to sit on it. We
still can't move.
Yes. And there are people who don't have representation. And there are boundaries that need to be reviewed.
Let me ask you something. The people who are now unrepresented, because there are a number of them, you even have people that you removed them and like Ugunja, and you made them, Ugenya MP rather, and you made them CS. Minister. There are those who unfortunately passed away and they don't have representation. What happens to people who are unrepresented, members of parliament, for example, who passed on or don't exist anymore by virtue of the fact that they've gotten a different office? What happens to the unrepresented people? Constitutionally, you're in breach. In breach constitutionally. The
people behave like this is their country.
The 90-day period that the Constitution sets aside for you to put somebody back in office has long elapsed. Maybe not for Ugenya and whatever else, but that period for these other people has long elapsed. You're in a breach of the Constitution. Don't you see that something should be done? And then you're holding people hostage because you don't want to enact
this is their country.
No, this is their personal property.
Personal property.
Exactly.
Because when you abrogate the Constitution, what you've done is you've denied the citizens their rights.
Yes, you're denying them rights.
Completely.
You are.
And which means you are breaking the law.
The law. You are in direct breach of it, but it's no big deal because after all, see, it's my garden. I will tend it when I want.
This is a very important exercise.
Yeah. So there's some misconceptions here, by the way. My tech is saying that we don't need that nonsense called boundary review. More MPs equals to a bloated parliament. No.
That's not
boundary review is not increasing constituencies. Constituencies are pegged at 290 in the Constitution. They will not increase. It is the boundaries that will be looked at based on population, geographical area, and so on and so forth. For example, there are some boundaries that were specially created. A constituency like the one that huyu jamaa wetu huyu wa Jubilee alikuwa na represent not Kieni, it is called Daragwa constituency. When it was created, the population and the size did not match. It had fewer people. But then they said, at that point, the Legal Commission said, let's create a constituency here. Odaya constituency did not qualify to be a constituency because they didn't meet the threshold of the constitution. So after 10 years, those were to be reviewed. If Odaya still does not have the number of people that are required to be in a constituency,
it will be removed.
Then the boundaries may be changed.
Increased.
There will still be Odaya, but it may eat into the neighboring constituency in a way, the boundaries of that. So 290 will remain 290. It is where the 290 are and start and stop that will be changing. And it can be renamed. It may not now be called Odaya. The name may change to Odaya Dogo or whatever. Or Gura River constituency. Are you together?
Gura what? We're not together.
Whatever name they come up with.
I like that word. Odaya Dogo. No, seriously, you guys.
So it's an important exercise.
It is a very important exercise. And we're playing with it as if you're playing Monopoly here. It's not right. It's not right. And that's the problem. That you have a document and a spirit which is supposed to be supreme. And I say supposed to be very deliberately. It is supposed to be supreme. But you find that those who are supposed to be the vanguards of it are not taking it seriously.
Because they're the ones who are supreme.
Hey.
It's not the constitution.
You are the supreme or not, and even the constitution.
As far as their actions speak to us, it tells us that they are the sovereign.
They are.
Not the rest of us.
Nope.
It's wrong.
It is.
It is wrong.
Where?
Kuna 1 minute. Tunataka kutupatia kitu.
Kwambia Ogamba.
Ogamba has marked 100 days in office.
Inside Ogamba's 100 days at the helm of a tough education docket, the transition of learning from grade 8 to 9 remains a top challenge. It is one, and I think that's what he should spend his Christmas thinking about. He says he has had no honeymoon period navigating a web of challenges engulfing the sector that include teachers and lecturer strikes, suspension of a new university funding model, leadership wrangles in universities, and recent examination malpractice scandals. Woo-wee! With only 35 days to the transition into grade 9, undertones of uncertainty surround readiness of institutions as schools prepare to reopen in January next year. Meanwhile, we have not yet even crossed 6,000 in terms of those 16,000 classrooms that are needed. So, that's going to be a problem. So he's saying, there are challenges. We have challenges. We are hoping that we can overcome them, but it's been a tough time. He says he has faced labor unrest, funding crisis, challenges in CBC implementation and transition. He's saying it's tough.
Well, it's a tough docket. I agree.
It is.
I agree. It's run by cartels, and they deliberately know what they're doing. Like this whole thing of now let's build classrooms. There will be substandard things that will be created.
And called classrooms.
Yeah, and they'll be called classrooms. And the same boys and girls who suffered last year in grade 7 have been suffering this year in grade 8, will be suffering in grade 9 next year. And nobody is considering that these children are actually being disenfranchised.
It's crazy.
Completely. Afadhali wakae nyumbani wafanyiwe homeschooling. 7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good afternoon. Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edin Lisamira. I'm used to the afternoon shift. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's allies have called on the Director of Criminal Investigations to investigate the incident where he was forced to run for his life after goons disrupted a funeral service he was attending in Limuru. Led by Kiambu Senator Karungo Thangwa and his Nyandarua counterpart John Menthu, the leaders claimed that the incident was an attempt on Gachagwa's Shagua's life. They've also alleged that former Limuru MP Peter Mwathi was abducted by people believed to be police officers during the chaos. According to Thangwa, hundreds of youths from the neighboring constituency were behind the violence and were allegedly sponsored by people in government. The leaders made the allegations outside the DCI headquarters on Kiambu Road.
We have not been given any information. They actually never listened to us. The director of investigation, by some name he gave us Abdul or Abdallah, he told us that he cannot listen to us and walked away. It was an attempt assassination of Rigathi Gachagua, and this is being done in Mount Kenya only. They started with the peace caravans and there is peace, but when they realize there is peace, they have decided to come out with goons to interrupt events, to harm people, so that there is no peace in Mount Kenya, so that then they can come.
Stones were thrown into his car. In fact, I would say that Rigathi Gachagua is lucky to be alive today. From the events of what we've seen today, the attempt on his assassination was actually a live attempt.
Thangwa also accused the DCI of ignoring them, even though they had visited his office to report the abduction of former Limuru MP Peter Mwathi. At the same time, Nyandarua Senator John Methu said Mwathi's family was in distress following the abduction.
We wanted to find the whereabouts of the former MP for Limuru, Peter Mwathi, because he was abducted by men in Subaru. And we know DCI, they do that.
The wife of the Member of Parliament, former Member of Parliament for Limuru is here at night. We have not even been given audience by the DCI so that they can tell us exactly what or where is Honorable Mwathi. She goes home to sleep without knowing exactly where the husband is. The kids are here. They have not had peace. It is this kind of absurdities that if you attend a funeral is as a very solemn occasion. He has been attending because he has been serving those members of those people of Limuru for the last 2 terms. We would want to know where his whereabouts.
On her part, Mwathi's wife Anne Mungai demanded his immediate release.
Mine is just to ask the government to release my husband because he went for a funeral. He has attended many other funerals in Limuru. He has served the people of Limuru diligently, and he was abducted by force because the vehicle he had gotten into so that he gets out of the chaos was sandwiched by 2 Subarus that had no number plates. So definitely that's the government. So may the government release my husband.
Kenyan contractors are set to reap significant benefits following Parliament's approval of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill. The bill, sponsored by Molo MP Kuria Kimani, ensures that contracts below 1 billion shillings will exclusively be awarded to local contractors. International firms will only qualify for contracts exceeding 1 billion shillings if they enter into joint ventures with Kenyan companies. Kuria said the bill is a lifeline for local contractors and a strategic move to drive economic inclusivity and development. New data shows that Kenya's cities lead in new HIV cases, largely driven by infections among youths who comprise students, job seekers and young workers. According to data from the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, Nairobi leads in the infections, followed by Kisumu and Nakuru. Half of all people living in Nairobi are aged between 15 and 34, and this is the age most new infections happen. The data also shows that at least 51% of new HIV infections occur in 7 other counties, including Migori, Homa Bay, Uasin Gishu, Siaya, Mombasa, Kakamega, Kericho, and Kajiado. Over 16,700 Kenyans were newly diagnosed with HIV in 2023, according to the data. In the UK, MPs will today debate and vote on whether terminally ill people should have the right to end their lives. MPs last voted on this deeply sensitive issue nearly a decade ago when they comprehensively rejected the idea. If they vote in favour of assisted dying, it could lead to a significant change to society in the UK, on a par with reforms around the death penalty, divorce, abortion and gay marriage. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
It looks like that Friday where we're going to have very little traffic. There's some movement on the Thika Superhighway, however, coming in from Garden City and then finding its way on to the junction past that outer ring turnoff. There is some traffic there, as well as around Survey, Pangani Underpass. Won't be too bad, at least for now. Wairimu is busy, but traffic is not at a hold up, not at a standstill. It's moving. James Gishuru looks pretty good as well for now, but probably around traffic hour, we're going to see that clog up just a little bit. Let's take a quick look at what's happening on Jogo Road, which is not much. Heading towards Landis is all right. Haile Selassie, for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be crazy. And we already see some outbound traffic as folks are trying to navigate their way through towards Ngong Road or out onto Uhuru Highway and into other parts of the city. The construction is going to slow you down. Always prepare for that ahead of time. The Southern Bypass looks pretty good. And there's a little bit of movement coming off of the Eastern Bypass. Nothing to hold you down just yet. Let's see how it all progresses as we get through the morning. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 7 minutes after 7. How are you doing? Welcome to the second half of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is a Situation Room broadcasting from Standard Group Center on Mombasa Road to the world on KTN, on SpiceFM, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, everywhere else. Asante sana for tuning in. Ndu?
Yes.
Because we'll be talking about money. Let's keep talking about money. Sindio?
Yes.
It's about what? Creating wealth, accumulating that wealth, protecting that wealth so that it can benefit you, your family, and into generation more than you.
Exactly. And it sounds great, doesn't it? But most times you're not really sure how to do it, where to start, who to talk to, where to go. All those 4 issues can be answered if you speak to the folks at Standard Chartered, because they understand that, you know what, it can be a bit confusing in this big bad world of finance and investment. Where are you going to start? Who are you going to go to? And they say, okay, look, we've been able to put all of our experience into a one-on-one conversation, and we can have that with you. How do you start? You send an email, wealth.kenya@sc.com. All right? wealth.kenya@sc.com. Just tell them, look, my name is Ndu. I want to be able to have something secure for the future. I want to grow it. Where do I start?
I want to be wealthy.
There you go. I want to be rich. Okay. So they will tell you know what you do? Let's have a chat and let's show you how to go about this. And they will make sure that they don't leave you by the way. Wealth.kenya@sc.com. Create it, manage it, grow it.
Yes. So from the 25th of November to the 10th of December is 16 days of activism against gender-based violence marked worldwide. And this is just to raise awareness about this issue of gender-based violence. And we said we are going to be having these conversations daily, if need be, for these 16 days. Well, we'll not have them tomorrow and Sunday, but then you get what we mean. We'll participate elsewhere. And it's just to make sure that we bring these conversations to the fore. What is it that's happening in our society? What do we need to do to address this? We are joined once again by Sylvia Maina, who's a gender communication specialist at UN Women in charge of Eastern and Southern Africa. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning, Latiff.
Welcome back.
Asante sana. Really nice to be here as usual.
Sindio?
Yes.
I know. I feel the same.
Isn't it? We've made you a GBV champion, anti-GBV.
Kabisa.
Very nice.
And Baldwin Anyiga is from the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. He's an economist. Baldwin, good morning.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very fine, Latiff.
Karibu sana.
Welcome.
This is the hot seat of the situation room.
Yeah.
Na wakati serikali imekuja hapa, tunafurahi sana.
Sisi nashukuru sana.
Tunafurahi sana.
Serikali imetembelea.
Okay. Serikali imetembelea.
Yeah.
People don't know the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action is under which ministry?
Okay, thank you for having me here. This is my first time here. So the State Department for Gender is under the Ministry of Gender, Culture, the Arts, and Heritage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very
Those
good.
entire concussions.
It's that
gender
big, it's that big ministry.
Yeah.
Who's your PS?
PS is Madam Anne Wangombe.
Okay. Who's CS?
We are still waiting for the CS.
Waiting.
Yeah. But the ministry is functioning very well, and that's why we are here for these interventions.
Serikali inaendelea.
Yeah, there's no vacuum in government. It continues.
Never.
Yeah, never.
Never ever.
Yeah.
So City will welcome you with the day's proverb. But before he does that, there's something else that he'll tell you. Something that's happening up to the 2nd of December. And this is just about thinking Christmas is here. Uko na pesa kidogo na unataka kuspend, like hata kama hauna, but you need to spend.
Do you believe that it is better to give than to receive? Do you also believe that in giving you actually receive? Well, Woolworths are telling you this. Huh? If you go to any of their outlets, it started just the other day, it's going on up to the 2nd of December, and you buy 3 items, three, one of them will be free. So as you buy, you get. Now, we all have relatives. We all have loved ones. I shouldn't have said relatives. Some people don't like their relatives.
But we all have them.
But we all have them.
Regardless.
Yes, exactly. And as we head towards December, one of the things that occupies our mind is the season that December ushers in. It ushers a season of giving, the season of Christmas. So, awaken your mind. Open your wallet, open your purses, consider. Go to any Woolworth outlet and look at the array of offers that they have. Buy any 3. And that 3rd item will be free of charge. Yes.
Aya. You know your story, Sylvia?
You know, I wouldn't talk about women and shopping. I'm one of the perpetrators, so... Yes, that is a very good story.
Why do you call it shop? Why do you call it retail therapy?
Retail therapy, because you feel much better.
Yes.
So it's like medicine for the soul.
Yes.
Yes, so that sounds like a very good deal.
Okay.
Latiff has noted.
Okay. City, the proverb.
Yeah. Yes, this is the final day of our proverbs from the kingdom of Swatini. Next week will be in the country of Mozambique, Republic of Mozambique. Okay? A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Wale watu. In fact, I wonder why people stay there. That one.
There's one who came and spoke to us here as a runaway monk. He's now a professor. Anyway, no, that's not the issue. What's your interpretation of the proverb, Sylvia?
What if you've started again with me today with the proverb? Let me go ahead.
You see, you're used to these things.
Isn't it?
We've got to help Baldwin just see how it's done.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that for Baldwin. So, the runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Yes.
So basically, it's that thing of when you live somewhere, you want to make it look like you're not the problem, but it's the place that's the problem. So it's kind of like a defense mechanism to talk bad of the place that you've come from. Maybe the person was not well received there or had some issues there that they were caught up in and they had to leave for whatever reason. So they want to blame the place rather than looking into themselves, introspecting and understanding what could have led to that issue.
That's a good one. Your cabinet iko na shida. Watu hawabii rais kweli. Mimi tu ndio nilikuwa namwambia ukweli. Hao wengine wote
watu hawapendi ukweli.
Yes. Well, what's your interpretation?
It's a tricky word, but I think the more of it is whenever you are faced with a problem, be there, handle it, deal with the pressure that comes, and forge ahead. Yeah, you don't need to run away. Yeah.
Both interpretations are perfect. Thank you.
Stay in the monastery.
Deal with the real issue, right?
Deal with the root cause.
Let us share the experience with you.
Live with your consequences.
Exactly. We have to come officer.
I'm telling you. Take it on the chin.
Yes. It's a season. Yeah. You can overcome it. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Very well said. So your State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, of course, has the mandate to look at gender issues, right?
Yeah.
Now, in these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, this falls right into what you should be doing and how you spearhead the conversation and the fight against gender-based violence.
Yeah.
So, briefly, what is that fight and what's the government doing?
Thank you. The government is doing a lot to fight gender-based violence, and it has a strong stance against gender-based violence because we look at the negative impacts that it has on individuals, communities, and even societies at large. And therefore, there are very strategic issues around creating awareness that the government is actually doing in collaboration with the different partners. One of our major key roles is around gender policies or policies that will create an environment that is free from any form of violence or even gender discrimination. So we spend a lot of chunk of our time trying to develop or strengthen, legal policy and even institutional frameworks that will curb or actually eradicate gender-based violence. So in brief, those are the key things we undertake to suppress GBV at national level.
Are there different categories of gender-based violence? Like, are there types of gender-based violence?
Yeah, so we have around 4 broad types or forms of gender-based violence. The most common one is the physical violence, where people are hurt, people are killed, and it causes harm to your physical well-being. Then there is the sexual violence, and then there is psychological or emotional kind of violence. And then there is the other one that we are calling economic violence, in terms of even denying your partner or other colleagues the opportunities to earn resources or to participate actually in economic activities. So broadly, there are about 4 types of gender-based violence. Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess then for you, Sylvia, some of the times that we look and say there must be eradication of this, it has to come to an end at some point. It's also then important to keep looking at the causes. What have we seen are the causes of GBV, and they seem to be so deeply rooted that it seems to be so difficult to eradicate. Why, and what are some of these?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I think it's something that we all grapple with. We more or less all agree what GBV is, and I say more or less because not everybody agrees it's bad in different contexts or in different dynamics. But we don't really have a very good handle case by case necessarily on what is the actual issue. But one of the things that we've definitely seen is an issue is culture. Yeah, and actually for me, even as Baldwin was telling us the name of the ministry, it just occurred to me actually that it may not even be misplaced that Ministry of Gender is with Ministry of Culture. I've never even thought of it before. But culture is one of the things, and that's why you find maybe GBV is highest in Africa, is among the areas that has it highest. Different forms, again, piggybacking on what Baldwin said, the physical, the sexual here again covers child marriage, it covers FGM, unfortunately, the East and Southern African region really sticks out globally, even for those two particular types of GBV. So culture is a very big informant. And culture, I think, would also cover patriarchal thinking. So at UN Women, there's this mantra that we have now of pushing back against the pushback. So globally, we're really seeing the patriarchy fighting back. The last time we were here, we were talking about how because of that male privilege, if I can say, we find that the more women are getting empowered, it's almost like in some context, the angrier men are getting. So there's a form of retaliation. Right, so that's one big factor. But I think underlying all GBV, whether it's SGBV, economic, there's the issue of control. It's always about power imbalances, and that's why we talk extensively about women economic empowerment, which of course also includes education, which again, I want to link back with what Baldwin talked about in terms of economic violence. One of the ways that economic violence is carried out even is by denying education. Yeah, because that then cuts someone at the knees and you're not able to go and be that productive citizen and stand on your own. So that kind of coercive control is one of the main reasons that we see this. In contexts like during COVID or during crisis, one of the things that we see is a big driver of GBV is economic challenges. Right, because we know during COVID, for example, a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their businesses. So there's that frustration or anxiety or other things that pop up, including substance abuse, that all really drove the numbers up over and above many people being locked in with the perpetrators during the lockdown at COVID. And also because there was really nowhere to run. Yeah, so I think a lot of those dynamics, and of course, again, humanitarian contexts where basically state has fallen apart, there's no law and order. So you find GBV, especially SGBV, really coming up on the rise. That's where you find countries like Sudan. I think the last time we talked about, was it 6.7 million people in Sudan as of, I think, a few months ago are at risk of GBV. And this is just because there's no infrastructure, there's no law and order at the moment. So where do you report? Who will address it? Yeah, those are just some of the drivers.
I want to just maybe zero in a little bit more, that when we talk about culture and practice and tradition, and a high percentage, if not all of these practices, were being carried out before definitions, right? Before definitions and descriptions of certain experiences came. Gender-based violence was not a thing before, when tradition and culture was being formed or when it was being practiced. These things came after the fact. Some of the things that you talk about, early marriage, been happening forever. FGM, been happening forever, been happening for the longest time. So can you look at that as one of the reasons why it would be very difficult then to eradicate, because these are things that have been around for hundreds of years. So wrong or not, right? The fact that you have to deal with something that has been ingrained, compacted, conditioned in the minds and practice of people, and now you're saying maybe just a few years of definition is being asked to uproot hundreds of years of practice. How do you deal with that?
I love the words you've used, ingrained, compacted, and even uprooting, because uprooting is such a descriptive word. You're right. I mean, these are things that have centuries-old history, especially in our context, but there are some things that have no place in the modern world. Yeah, we'll just be categorical about that. And when you look at human development, what are some of those indicators of human development? One of them is women and girls feeling safe, for example. Yeah, if we've already established, because of human development, that FGM is detrimental to women's physical, sexual, and emotional health, regardless of whether it was being done before, then it's something that we need to nip in the bud. Things change. Like I tell my son sometimes, there's a difference between fact and truth. So at some point we thought the world was flat, right? We were very convinced.
It is.
I like that. You want to challenge the physicists or astrologists? Yeah, so it was a fact, so to speak, at the time. But now we know that it's not the case. Yeah. So while such cultural practices may have been going on at the time, they may have worked in that context for whatever reason. If you look at things like child marriage, again, it wasn't preventing anybody from going to school. It was part and parcel of society at the time. But now if we engage in such practices, what happens? Girls are left out of school. I'm sure Baldwin can tell us how that affects the economy in the long term because they can't meaningfully participate. It affects GDP, so there are things that really just do not belong in the modern world.
This whole gender violence story, when we throw in the psychological aspects of it, the social, the cultural, it becomes an interesting discussion. Now it gets even more interesting when you bring in what you call the power dynamics. Now, but when we talk about men feeling disempowered, you have to ask the question, so what is it that they felt empowered them in the first place? Because it appears like it was removed, so what is it? Because if I look at the traditional role of men, among them was to protect the family. So they were the protectors of these very women who are now being violated. They were the protectors. That has changed. They are not the protectors, they're the violators. I say this because men still are protectors, but if you look at the increase of violence that is directed at women, it begs the question. Because something is clearly wrong somewhere. This whole societal norm that we had, this thing has shifted drastically.
That is so profound, CT. I was just looking at data from South Africa. Of course, I always try and bring in the regional perspective to show that this is a global issue. It's common in our context and also down to the local level in Kenya. And out of all the violence that happens against women, 60% is by intimate partners. I found that very interesting. And there's also studies that are showing that even in Kenya, actually, and Uganda, women are safer. They feel safer outside the home. I found that very bizarre. So, in fact, some of the data we have from the past few years, 11%, I think, of women are attacked when they are outside the home by unknown people. I think the number was about 22% are attacked when they're by a neighbor, for example. That's a perpetrator of the GBV, whether it's SGBV or other forms of violence. But 33%, 3 times what they get outside is what they get in the home. I found that very disturbing. Yeah, so like you're saying, the protector has now become the...
Yes. What is this thing that has twisted and turned this person's psyche so that the role that they played or the role that they understood was theirs has now... This one is not even inversing or turning around. This thing has been corrupted completely. So they now find it necessary to respond with that level of violence, and it seems to increase. What is it that has twisted and turned this person? And we are seeing cases that are even more bizarre. People turn on children.
Yeah. I think maybe at the solution level, what the State Department is trying to come up with is what we are calling male engagement and inclusion kind of strategy. Because it has always been a backlash on whenever we advance activities of anti-gender-based violence. So we actually want to identify the strategies that we can use to engage men and also include them in the entire sphere of promotion of gender equality and also empowerment of women. 1, as partners. 2, and also to address specific needs of men so that we can bring them on table so that we don't antagonize the entire process of promotion of gender equality. And there are right holders in the societies which they come from.
Yesterday we had a conversation with Angela Ambito, founder and CEO of InfoTracker.
Yeah.
And she was giving us case studies of some of the work that they've done in terms of just surveys. And some of those surveys have been on sanctioned by government or agencies such as the UN agencies to look at communities and how communities think and how communities would respond to certain programs. Like so sort of ahead of behavior change campaigns, what is it that the communities would do? And she was giving us examples, for example, voluntary male circumcision and going to the communities that do not culturally practice male circumcision, and seeing how do you communicate with them so they feel that, okay, this does not take away what I believe is dear, but it actually enhances my health. Yeah. When you talk about uptake of just those treated mosquito nets, you'd assume just give them mosquito nets, and what that means. Has there been any such survey that has been conducted when it comes to GBV to find out what is it that communities, because communities are different, what is it that this community feels and thinks and perceives GBV to be, the men, the women, and what are the areas to avoid? How do you approach the communication? Has there been such a survey?
Yeah, there are a number of government-sanctioned surveys, and the major one is usually the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey that measures extensively the issues of gender-based violence. And the recent one was done in 2022, and we have such modules. And we went actually to communities to ask them different questions on gender-based violence from all the categories we have mentioned. And we were asking questions like, have you ever, experienced this form of violence? And if you have experienced, how often have you experienced it? And at analysis stage, we are able now at national level to map the prevalences of such a categorization. Not only for, since they were age 15, but also in the, previous 12 months. We also measured even simple questions like opinion questions, is a woman justified to be beaten if he has done, some specific reasons? For example, being unfaithful, leaving children, burning food. And Kenyans gave their opinions, and you'll find, there are those kind of statistics. We went even to communities to ask them whether they feel harmful practices like FGM should continue, and we got the percentages.
So they are varied. Are they varied? So that, for example, there are those who feel it should continue. There are those who feel if a woman burns food in the house, she should be beaten.
Yes.
There are those who feel if she leaves her children and does whatever, she should be beaten up. Okay.
Yes, both men and women.
So do they feel the same? Men and women answer that they say
and
yes.
In some cases, women more than men.
Okay.
Yeah. But the most highly ranking is the one of being unfaithfulness and also leaving children unattended to ranks the most in terms of justification of a woman being beaten. So, Eric, that is the major survey that has been done. And from the analysis of, because it's usually done periodically, you will see substantial decrease in gender-based violence at a national level. But when you disaggregate the data by county level, you will find some counties being high, what we are calling the hotspot counties, either for gender-based violence itself or even for FGM, and they are known at national level.
So when you now want to do this male engagement and inclusion, right, as you go into these communities, are you going there armed with how best to communicate to these men so that you change their perception? Also, how best then to communicate to the women so that you change their perception? Because you've just been asking them, do you think it's justified for if a woman deserts her home to, get beaten? Now, if you want them to change, both men and women, do you know what you need to tell them so they can buy into this conversation?
Maybe I go further than that. You go outside there and pick information. Once you pick this information, you analyze and see how are the numbers behaving. And as a government, one of the first thing, and I think I've talked about it, is, how can we regulate this? How can we integrate some of this information in terms of the policies or the legal frameworks we are developing? How can we tailor-make, our community outreach so we are informed with such information? So at the point we are collecting data, we don't really go out to really explain, because we don't want to interfere with the whole process of collecting data and make it biased. You collect it as a neutral data collector, you analyze it, it informs you, and then you generate evidence-based decision.
So my question is, now that you're rolling out a program that's addressing this particular one, and you're saying we want to talk to men and we want to talk to women. Do you have communication messages that go specifically targeted to men and not men in urban, men in Busia, men in Narok, men in Kwale, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think I've said a word on it. At the moment, we are developing strategies because that is what has been one of our critiques, that we seem to leave men out of the conversations on gender issues. So we are actually, holding meetings with the stakeholders to develop an entire strategy document that will inform not only government but anybody, even non-state actors, on how can we include men and the women in this entire sphere.
Are you asking the men and the women what it is they would like in the conversation, in the strategy, or what method are you using to determine that the strategy you're coming up with, one, will be accepted, and B, it will cover what the communities consider to be important to them?
Yeah, it's an open and government is full on public participation. So stakeholders are invited and they give their views. I know we have a group of men who believe, their issues should be given a priority. But if you look at the historical kind of information, you'll find women are a little bit lower, that we should try to consider them. So we are trying to balance those forces and, the common good that will help us eliminate GPV.
City, hold on. Let's take a break. It's 23 minutes to 8. We're having a conversation about gender-based violence as we commemorate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Baldwin Anyiga is an economist from the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. Sylvia Maina, gender communication specialist at UN Women, in charge of Eastern and Southern Africa. Sylvia will be stepping out and she'll give room to Joanne Kenyanjui, a GBV responder and gender champion at Grassroots Kenya, just to hear what Grassroots Kenya has been doing and their practical case studies, and in fact she's on the ground. She'll be giving us what they actually encounter, even in those conversations among men, among women, young children, young boys and girls. Let's take this break. Back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The county government of Taita Taveta, through the Taita Taveta Investment and Development Corporation and Jumuiya ya County za Pwani, JKP, invites you for the 6th Jumuiya Agribusiness and Blue Economy Investment Conference, JABEC 2024, scheduled for the 27th to the 29th of November 2024 at the Taita Taveta National Polytechnic, formerly known as the Coast Institute of Technology, CIT. One of the key objectives of this year's conference is to foster greater partnerships to unlock green and blue investments. The conference will provide an opportunity to county governments and innovative entrepreneurs to highlight enormous investment opportunities in blue economy, agriculture, tourism, and mining sectors to potential investors and financiers, further strengthening the bloc's commitment to facilitating impactful investments across 6 Kenya coastal counties. JABEC 2024 envisions to connecting entrepreneurs, investors, and innovative startups to discuss cutting-edge ideas, business innovations, networking opportunities, and technologies. The conference will bring over 3,000 delegates, including national government agencies, county governments, development partners, financiers, investors, and successful entrepreneurs. For any inquiries, registration, or additional information, visit www.jabec.jumuiya.org or call 0777 101 115. Karibuni Taita Taveta. Karibuni Mzingi.
Why go out every night when you can have it all at home? With Showmax, enjoy unlimited access to local and relatable content. Your favorite series, films,
villains,
kids programs,
Are you detective?
and every Premier League match. Stay entertained with the latest and newest releases all holiday long. Get started with the Showmax mobile plan for just 300 shillings. And for only 650 shillings, enjoy local and international shows on all your devices. Entertainment has never been this affordable. Sign up today at showmax.com and start watching everything you love, anytime, anywhere. Remember, accessible via your TV on all your mobile devices.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Sunny conditions this Friday morning in Nairobi at 17. We'll see highs of 25 and we'll see highs of 24 and lows of 14 in a sunny Nakuru at 15. It's sunny at 14 in Nyeri with highs of 24, while going to highs of 23. Eldoret will be sunny for most parts of today, currently at 13. It's sunny at 27 in Mombasa with highs of 33 and we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 26 in a sunny Malindi. It's 20 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 27 and lows of 19, while Kakamega at 17 is sunny going to highs of 25. It's mostly cloudy at 18 in Kampala with highs of 26, while at 28 Dar es Salaam is sunny with highs of 32 and lows of 27. Johannesburg at 13 is sunny with highs of 25, and we're looking into a sunny Mogadishu at 27 with highs of 31. It's 13 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 23. It's a hazy morning in Lagos at 24 with highs of 34, and we'll see highs of 32 in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 23.
Welcome to SpiceFM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
All right, not too much traffic to contend with this morning. On the Thika Superhighway, not looking too bad. We'll probably see some traffic right around Survey last for some time, and then coming out towards the roundabout. But then Wangari Maathai, very busy as you head out towards Chiromo, and it looks like it'll be busy then connecting with the Huru Highway in one direction or going out towards Westlands. Now is when we're starting to see traffic build on Limuru Road. It's also busy coming in from the northern bypass, and then heading out towards Kiambu Road. That looks like it's going to be busy for a beat. All right, Landis Road in and outbound traffic is doing the thing. Haile Selassie will be busy for the next month, that we know. Valley Road also an escape route for a lot of folks who want to get away from Haile Selassie. Take a look at the eastern bypass, and there is traffic coming out towards North Airport Road at the Cabanas interchange. Outer Ring has some traffic inbound as well. We're stepping into traffic hour. Let us know what's going on where you are, and we'll talk on Spice FM KE. Hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, we continue our conversation. 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Baldwin Anyuga, economist at the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action. We're now joined by Joanne Wangeshi Kinyanjui, who's a GBV responder and a gender champion at Grassroots Kenya. Joanne, good morning.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
Karibu tena.
Thank you.
It's Kenya's biggest conversation. And we continue the conversation here. So Baldwin had told us, what the government is doing at national level and also working with the sub-national governments. Policies, looking at developing policies, strengthening the policies, a legal and a legislative framework that then helps in the fight against GBV, even categorizing and identifying GBV in the various forms: physical violence, sexual violence, emotional violence, economic violence, and the work that is done. And we've been discussing that. I think the first thing that we want to ask you is, because you are the one who actually now handles cases of GBV in the communities, you are called by people who tell you there's a case here that we need to respond to, and you respond to it. You help communities in championing and for anti-GBV. Then you also help communities in the pursuit of justice. Do you ever have a conversation in these communities and ask people why there's violence?
Of course, yes.
And what's the answer?
What I really do to the community is just to enlighten them on the situation, because gender-based violence is a menace in the community, and it's a day-to-day violence occurring in villages, in home to home, and my biggest law is to sensitize them, and also make them to ensure that gender-based is existing, and it's a global problem. Yeah.
Do you ask them why there is violence? Do you know? Why do we see many cases of gender-based violence?
What they really answer to my question, sometimes they say that there is poverty. There is culture that is hindering women in doing different activities, especially economic activities. They also says that alcoholism has contributed a lot towards gender-based violence. They has also added about the economic issues. Yeah.
So when you say alcoholism contributes, what does that do? So the person who's taking alcohol and getting alcoholic is then abusive, or is the victim?
The person who is taking alcohol is the perpetrator. Yes.
But we've also seen in some cases, in some communities, where they are the victim of violence.
Maybe in my area, actually, men being the most perpetrators are the ones who are taking alcohol, and as you know, in our culture, men are the ones who are supposed to put food on the table. And when this question of providing comes, they actually start violence.
So they push back with violence.
Push back as a defense mechanism.
Do they also get bitten?
They get bitter.
No, do they get bitten?
In my area, no.
Do you remember the cases that came out of Nyeri a couple of times, months back, and even Kiambu, where the cases of men being battered because they have gone into alcoholism, they are not providing, they've become useless, they've become deadbeat, and therefore they are, so the women would then slap them, beat them, tell them, go out there, I'm not giving you any food, I'm the one who's provided this food.
Even this morning, I've heard men saying that they are being beaten by women. But in my area, men are very cunning. You can't beat a man, a Kikuyu man.
They can even beat you for saying that you were beaten by a woman.
According to culture.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Because you mentioned alcohol. So if alcohol is, introduced into this scenario, and then we get this violence, are we saying that if we removed alcohol, if people were not drinking, right, then we would not see the violence?
The violence will be there because there are many causes of gender-based violence.
Sure.
Yes.
In fact, there is established linkage globally in terms of relating alcoholism and gender-based violence. In fact, some of the surveys, alcoholism is used as a proxy for all drugs, and therefore it has connotation towards increased GBV. But when they are sober, those kind of studies, that the man or the other parties is very calm.
Exactly.
But when they take alcohol, then that thing is triggered within them. That's why there is a strong linkage between alcoholism or drugs.
And so the likelihood of an individual not being violent towards their partner then is greatly reduced if the element of alcohol is also removed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has that ever been looked at then when you talk about reform and what's the word people use when you go to a place?
Rehab.
Thank you. Rehabilitation. Has that been looked at then as one of the mechanisms for, because if we're saying that you can link this behavior to this alcohol, and there are many people who are using alcohol, has that line been drawn between that and that? Because we keep saying eradicate, right? And we can see that this is one of the major causes of it, as just as an example. So has the alcoholism been looked at as and said, okay, if we're trying to remove this GBV and we see that this is a cause, can we now attack this alcoholism? Or is it too basic?
When we come to say that men may be taken to rehab, rehabilitation centers. I know very well that in Kiambu County we don't have government rehabilitation centers, and actually these centers are very expensive, especially to the rural areas. They cannot afford to pay for their sons, to pay for their fathers, so that they can be rehabilitated.
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
In the community you come from, has alcohol always been there, even from the time of your grandfather and his father?
It has been there. Even my father was taking alcohol.
Yes.
But mind you, there are these alcohol. What will we call them?
Kumi.
They are so addictive, and at the same time they are very cheap.
Yes.
So even a man with 50 shillings bob can be able to afford, and that cheapness of a cup of that alcohol makes the person be very.
So we're talking about, it's not the alcohol, it's the type of alcohol.
Type of alcohol, yes.
Okay, now that we can come to government.
So it's drug abuse.
Yeah, you have seen periodic government campaigns towards elimination of what we call illicit brews in some areas in this country. And we normally do that based on the protection of families. And one of the reasons of protecting the families is now suppressing the issues of gender-based violence. Okay. And I think it's common that government has been very aggressive on dealing with the illicit brews. Yes.
When you do your surveys to look at prevalence of gender-based violence, what are the top 3 counties?
Majorly the top 3 counties I try to call, but we usually measure majorly those people who have ever experienced physical violence. And depending on the last Kenya Demographic and Health Survey of 2022, Bungoma County ranks the highest at 62%. That means in every 100 women in Bungoma County, 62 women indicated that they have ever experienced physical violence since they were age 15. There are other counties that come in strongly, like Samburu. We have the counties in the Nyanza region, the Homa Base, the Migori counties, and other counties that are recording, even above 40% kind of prevalence as far as physical violence is concerned.
And Nairobi is pretty higher there as well.
I've not confirmed for figures for Nairobi, but I think it's below 40%.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, from that 2022 survey, Nairobi was among the top 10. Yeah. So you can see that many of these counties are there's very high prevalence. Yeah. Then you ask yourself, why? Why Bungoma? Why Bungoma? Why Busia? Yeah. Why would we say Homa Bay?
Yeah.
Why?
The good thing with the national surveys is gives you the county indications of where they are high. And as government or as State Department for Gender, we now go into that county to find, what are the reasons. And for example, we are strong in Bungoma, and we have realized it's not even the entire of Bungoma, it's particularly in Mount Elgon region. And you'll find that there are high cases of FGM and generally the gender-based violence. So the national information just point to us the hotspot areas. And from that, we start now carrying out interventions. For example, we have, done a lot of trainings on counseling, counseling and mediation within those regions to different groups of people, including elders, the support elders, those who are custodians of some of those cultures within that area.
So culture plays a big role.
Yeah, it does, and the holders of those custodians of cultural roles, they're very influential in determining the eradication of gender-based violence.
And I keep asking this question. So we have all these laws. We have a highly educated population in this country.
Yeah.
We have all these policies and laws. We have even a body at the national level that is addressing FGM specifically. We have had all these bodies that are dealing with GBV and SGBV, but we still see these cultural practices still being rampant. Do we ask ourselves why? Why are these communities not willing to drop FGM, for example?
Yeah, but for laws, the major challenge we continue face is the lack of accountability in implementation of some of the things we have captured into laws. But on a soft note, we have taken the approach of building capacity of those people who are supposed to, to take a form of accountability. The police, the administrative officers, just to remind them, how do they deal with or address the issues of gender-based violence within their community. So it's a war. We keep fighting to make sure that everybody is held accountable to this kind of war. Yeah.
I want to take you back into history.
Yeah.
I like history.
Yeah.
The time of your grandfather.
Yeah.
And probably before then. There was no police service.
Yeah.
There was alcohol.
Yeah.
There were men and women.
Yeah.
How did they manage all the societal norms that we're now grappling with? Men meeting violence on women, all these. How did they manage it?
I think those times we had very strong community structures that were involved in even suppressing the issues of gender-based violence. Unfortunately, some of those community structures are breaking down.
So what community structures do we currently have?
Right now, we advocate that the judiciary should take charge whenever we have criminal cases of
I want you to pause right there. The judiciary, the police, social issues, they have to be called in, and yet in these communities, there are people. What role do you think they should play in ensuring that whatever it is that they feel, or are we saying that societies have abrogated their responsibilities? So as far as they are concerned, anything that goes wrong, you call the police, you go to court, and that they have no role whatsoever in ensuring that there is balance in their community?
No, I'm not saying that they don't have role. We keep. I just mentioned the work we are doing in Bungoma with the Council of Elders, just to make sure that those structures are strengthened and they actually become champions of ending gender-based violence. And we have built the capacity even to improve their skills in mediation in light of the changing world as far as other things are concerned. Even the issues of advancement in technology that sometimes there are some kind of causes for gender-based violence. So you see how the world is evolving. Yeah.
I want to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Have you considered and looked at the role that men have on younger men and the influence that they have?
Yeah, again, I think I responded to that when we are saying we are still looking at strategies, concrete strategies that we will deploy as far as the engagement of men that will include also young men in supporting our initiatives. Yeah.
Tom Ondiek says community elders should be given more prominence, like in the old days. Maybe some of those issues are there. We have started, breaking down, even us accepting that we had community structures, that we're no longer even promoting them. We are saying, let's do court, let's do police, let's bring chief na askari wake. Maybe it's a big issue to consider. But thank you very much for joining us, Baldwin. Baldwin Anyega is an economist with the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, and Joanne Wagashi-Kenyanjui is a GBV responder and gender champion working with Grassroots Kenya. They work in the communities, addressing and advocating against issues of SGBV. Sylvia Maina was here earlier. She's a gender communication specialist at the UN Women in charge of Eastern and Southern Africa. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Remember, Woolworths is telling you, come between now and the 2nd of December. Buy 3, pay for 2, get 1 free. 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. President William Ruto is to jet out of the country today for Tanzania to attend the 21st Ordinary Summit of the East African Community Heads of State. Ruto made the announcement during the 9th Annual African Special Economic Zones meeting held at the KICC on Thursday. He said the recently approved ESC Special Economic Zones regulations of 2024 will ensure free movement of goods across member states. This, according to the president, will bolster regional integration and position economic zones as catalysts for industrialization and growth. The family of former Limuru MP Peter Mwathi is in distress following his alleged abduction by people believed to be police officers in Thursday's incident involving Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. In the incident, Gachagua was forced to run for his life after goons disrupted a funeral service he was attending in Limuru. Last evening, Mwathi's wife Anne Mungai joined a section of leaders allied to Gachagua at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road to demand for swift investigations into the chaos. She demanded Mwathi's immediate release.
Mine is just to ask the government to release my husband because he went for a funeral. He has attended many other funerals in Limuru. He has served the people of Limuru diligently, and he was abducted by force because the vehicle he had gotten into so that he gets out of the chaos was sandwiched by 2 Subarus that had no number plates. So definitely that's the government. So may the government release my husband.
At the same time, Gachagua's allies, who alleged that the incident was an attempt on his life, claimed that the DCI did not give them audience. According to Gachagua's allies, the violence was orchestrated by hundreds of goons ferried from neighboring constituencies by agents of the state in order to harm Gachagua. Meanwhile, Gachagua, who was driven out of the funeral venue under a hail of stones, has said that a specific group followed him as he went to his car, which they proceeded to attack with stones, iron bars, machetes and sticks. He's blamed the government for the violence, saying that earlier this week, the government withdrew the final aspects of his security that were in place after his impeachment. Kenyan contractors are set to reap significant benefits following Parliament's approval of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill. The bill, sponsored by Molo MP Kuria Kimani, ensures that contracts below 1 billion shillings will exclusively be awarded to local contractors. International firms will only qualify for contracts exceeding 1 billion shillings if they enter into joint ventures with Kenyan companies. Kuria said the bill is a lifeline for local contractors and a strategic move to drive economic inclusivity and development. Schools will reopen next year for term 1 on January the 6th and close on April the 4th after 13 weeks of learning. In between, there will be a 5-day half-term running from February the 26th to March the 2nd. That's according to next year's academic calendar from the Office of the Principal Secretary of Basic Education. The learners will proceed for their 5-day half-term from June the 25th to the 29th. There will be a 3-week August holiday starting on August the 4th. Learners will report back to school for term 3 on August the 25th for a 9-week learning period that will end on October the 24th. All national exams will commence on October the 27th, save for KCSE, which will start on November the 23rd. In Trans Nzoia County, children in early childhood development centres will be receiving free milk twice a week from January next year. On Thursday, Governor George Natembeya announced the revival of his Ukombozi school milk feeding program. The program had been terminated but will resume when schools reopen next year. A power cut plunged Zimbabwe's parliament into darkness as Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube was finishing his budget speech. The lights flickered and died, leaving top officials like President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, and members of parliament sitting in the dark. The outage is a symptom of Zimbabwe's ongoing crisis, with daily 12-hour blackouts driven by a prolonged drought that's crippling energy generation at the Kariba Dam, the country's main power source. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Traffic in the city this morning at a few minutes after 8 o'clock. It is coming in through on the Eastern Bypass. North Airport Road has some traffic this morning. Also coming on North Airport Road heading towards the CBD. All right. Also, let's look at what's coming out of Westlands. Traffic also building on Wairimu, but it's not going to be too crazy. James Gishuru has a little bit of traffic here and there as well. Friday morning is not too crazy. Thika Superhighway with traffic coming in from Survey, also busy as well. Keeping an eye on this, also on the Thika Superhighway beyond all the way from the Outer Ring Junction, even beyond that, and coming in from Githurai, there is quite some traffic as well. So we are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we go through it. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 after 8. Thank you for keeping it locked. This is the biggest conversation in the country. It's the Situation Room on SpiceFM and KTN and all the other digital platforms. And yes, someone is saying, do you people know that you are not on Radio Garden? Okay. Our technical boss is called Vincent. He knows something is being done about it, right? He knows. Ndu?
Yes.
We're talking about money. And lunch yesterday with Judith. It happened.
Do you see why you
and she
claim
said,
to be my friend, but I don't understand.
And she said that she is, I gave her your email. Check your email. You're going to get a personal invitation to lunch with Standard Chartered Bank.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
For real. You're wealthy enough. You don't need.
No, it's all right.
Excuse me, please.
While we're on that conversation.
No, please, sorry, CT. You know the problem when he makes such those
proclamations.
Yes. Okay. He's talking to. He said biggest conversation. Everybody has heard you.
Yes. So if Judith doesn't,
if it doesn't happen,
invite you for
lied.
lunch,
Sir.
You know what this man is saying makes sense, and I'll tell you why. And this is not gender discrimination.
Here we
I'm
go.
just explaining. Remember that call that I told you I received?
Yes,
I went to Standard Chartered headquarters yesterday.
Headquarters?
Yes, that's where the priority place is. And we had a very long conversation. Those people are not in a hurry to talk to you. They take time, they listen to you, they give you tea, they give you water, even biscuit.
Even biscuit.
I don't really particularly like biscuits, but they were there. I'm simply saying that when they say they will do certain things, they actually do it.
Okay.
Yes, so it's not some tall yarn that somebody has spun. No.
You will receive a call and an email from Judith.
Okay.
You don't need to write to wealth.ke@sc.com. Right? We've jumped.
You've jumped to the process.
Yes. So you ate tech yesterday.
Yeah.
Now they'll do you one better.
Do one better.
We're talking about priority banking with Standard Chartered Bank.
So for everybody else, what you do need to do is you need to send an email, wealth.kenya@sc.com. What do you do with those extra coins that you have and you're not quite sure? Do I invest? Where do I invest it? Do I put it on the global market? Do I put it locally? Can I invest in Kenya shillings? Can I do it in USD, Euro, Pound, etc., etc.? All of those questions and much more will be answered when you send that email. You see, you send an email, but then they will call you and they will say, come, let's sit down and have a conversation about what you can do for today, tomorrow, and forever.
Kuja Tuzungumuze. We've also been talking about this holiday season, and there are several shows that you can watch on Showmax. Yeah, even on your mobile device for as low as 300 shillings. And one of those shows is a good one. It's called what?
Black and Blue.
It's a Black and Blue. Very good. So Black and Blue is about, we'll be told, the people who are here will tell us what it is all about. Abdi Shuria is the co-director of this particular show, and Andrew Nganga Kimani is in the cast. Andrew?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm feeling fresh.
What are you in the show?
Mimi ni Karao, Gen Z. I'm the fresh recruit. Endo amekuja na fresh blood. I represent the spirit of the Gen Z. Fearless, freedom, leaderless.
Kwa hiyo police service.
Sasa kwa hiyo police service, I bring that spirit. But essentially, I play the role of Glenn Kioko, a new recruit who's really excited to join the task force. And his expectations are not met. And the reality has actually hit him. Ameingia place yenye hakuwa expect.
Ameguza ground.
Ameroka kiganjo sasa.
Very good.
Yeah.
Abdi, you are co-director of this particular show. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
You'll tell us about it. You'll tell us how you actually got into thinking of doing this show, and how you got into the show, and how you got people like Andrew to come and act. And later we'll be joined by Hilary Mwangi Wamete, who's also on the cast of this. But as we welcome you, City has a message for you, and it starts with a positive message, which is how you can walk into Woolworths and get something for free.
It began the other day like most stories begin, but it continues until the 2nd of December. You're a director, you understand this. That is how I've introduced the topic. But what you need to do to ensure that this period of time is beneficial to you, you need to go to any Woolworths outlet. They are saying for every 3 items you want to purchase, you will only pay for 2, 1 will be free. Now, if you don't particularly like clothes, but why don't you just go to the store and see what else they offer? You most certainly will have loved ones. You'll have people you want to gift. But to make the experience complete, simply visit a Woolworths outlet and look at what they have on offer. But let me remind you again, buy 3, you only pay for 2. 1 is free.
Yes. And is you now rocking that on Friday and say, well, that thing that, no, it's limited. It ends on the 2nd of December, which is Monday.
Yes, so don't go there on Christmas Day asking them for the deal.
that discount thing.
December.
Yeah, it ends on the 2th of December. City.
Yes, please.
Please give them the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been, from the kingdom of Eswatini. Kingdom. Not kingdom of Kenya, Eswatini. A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Say again.
A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Okay. Abdi, when you listen to that proverb, what do you think it says?
I have absolutely no idea, actually. I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. A runaway monk. Sorry, just repeat it again one more time.
Have no fear.
Okay.
Repeat it. A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Okay. Andrew, do you want to give it a go?
Yeah.
Right.
A runaway monk doesn't speak well of his monastery. My interpretation would be a traitor will always be a traitor.
Huh. This man took that role of policeman seriously.
I mean, if he left a monastery, which is an institution where, spiritual guidance is there, everything is fresh, everything is clean, why will you speak ill of such a place? So you are the problem.
Unasikia? Kwa nini unapinga serikali? Serikali inachunga wewe.
Shida ni wewe. I really like his answer. So I'll pick back on that.
It's a black and blue answer. Yeah.
Well, that's a really, really good interpretation.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Once a traitor, always a traitor. Even by the time he was joining the monastery, he was a traitor.
Of color.
Yeah. Who you are?
He's a narcissist. Sorry, nimeachia hapo. This particular monk, is special. Ako na kasoro.
Abdi, what is Black and Blue about?
So, Black and Blue is a comedy show. It's a mockumentary.
What?
A mockumentary. So this is basically a hybrid of a comedy show that looks like a documentary. So the idea is, of course, it's fiction, but it's supposed to look and feel like it's reality. And it's satire and, mockumentary. That's what it is.
Right. So what is it about?
So it is basically, about an idea of what if a civilian was put in charge of a Kenyan police station and becomes the OCS. What would happen to an individual, a civilian, once he's, given this power, this control, this authority? Who do they become? What do they do?
And if the civilian is an activist,
exactly,
what then happens?
Right.
What got you to this point? What inspired you to get into Black and Blue?
So, I think I draw a lot of humor from tragedy, and just from lived experience. Sometimes you have interactions with law enforcement, and sometimes it just leaves you questioning. You're like, okay, but for me, I'm always, trying to look at the brighter side of things. And there's always that idea of, what if you stopped and you asked for tea, but chai, and what if I had a thermos with me?
Can actually give you tea.
The idea just stemmed from interactions like that. And
actually, that's an idea for City. He always walks around with
City always
tea.
has a thermos or something.
So if cops tell you, Mzee si tuachie chai, just get it to the bag.
Kuna kikombe.
Kuna mtu angependa soda hapa.
Exactly.
Ama chai dawa.
So that's where the idea came from. And, I've had the opportunity to work on other shows like XYZ in the past. So comedy and satire was something that I was really interested in, and always looking to, do my own show and find my own voice in production. So about, I think 3 years ago, I shot a pilot. I was like, okay, I can't just let this be an idea. So got some friends together, we wrote a script. We found talented actors like Andrew, like Hillary. And, we shot the pilot and we presented it to Showmax. It took some time, but, I have to give a lot of credit to them because they really believe in local talent. And they've really, over the years, they've really elevated local talent and given local talent the opportunity to produce local content. So kudos to them. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I think it does a lot. It tells a lot about then, the local scene and what we don't say for art and what it's able to do. So I wanted to look into the storyline just a little bit because I think that there's some, lines there. The very fact that you can take an ordinary citizen and say, okay, how about you come and not just be an ordinary officer, but be the OCS in a police station, right? So what are some of the... Because obviously, whether we like to admit it or not, there's a political undertones here, isn't it? And then with what happens with police officers, what happens with the police service sometimes, also an opportunity to probably shine some light on some of the good aspects of the police service, isn't it?
Correct.
So what are some of these tones or things that came out as you shot this, as you acted in it, that then can become, things that we can see?
So maybe before I let Andrew step in. So I think one of the biggest or major themes for this show is community. It's about these police officers being misfits, but finding a community amongst themselves and learning to work together as a unit, as friends, as colleagues, as a family, because it's all about doing good at the end of the day. The show is not necessarily there to bash or criticize them.
It's mocking them, though. So go on.
But it's there to be wholesome, to just spread this concept of togetherness. And despite all odds, people can work together and find a solution, maybe through their unique way. Yeah.
From an actor's perspective, the role made us humanize the police. It made us understand what they really go through. The public opinion is polisi ni wabaya. Kuna wale wabaya, kuna wale wazuri. But this show made us understand that these people are human at the end of the day. And they have personal issues that they're fighting. And the show also highlighted how even the citizen have a share in the misfits and everything, because these are people coming to report to a police station all the ills that are happening in the society. So it's a platform that is now showing that on the other end, muko na ubaya pia nyinyi. Na ndo maana hiyo ubaya yenu mnaicheka because you can see yourself. Right?
You get it.
Sanaa ni kioo cha jamii. So we can't do anything that's not happening in the society. So we are just reflecting what's happening in the society and all these things that are happening and making people understand that there's a police force that really needs to do their job. And you as a citizen, you also have a role to play to help them finish their job. So there's a lot of, like Abdi has mentioned, community, understanding the role of each individual, and also the mental issues they face, because huko ndani makarao wanalia, kuna karao wameachwa, he's crying, identity issues, all these things. So it has really explored the whole humane aspect of the police sector.
Andrew, what do you do for a living? What's your background?
Well, I'm an artist. I've been an actor all my life. I'm an actor, filmmaker, and a social activist. I run a community-based organization called Maktaba Yetu that we use art to push consciousness in the society. I hail from Udhero, Yesagi, Kabete constituency. So I grew up in a society that ilikuwa messed, like for a while. And it really gave me that urge to speak for the people that are left behind. Tunaishi nao mtaa. Because kama Kabete, alcoholism imetumaliza.
Kama messed, what do you mean?
In the sense of people don't have hope.
Why?
Where do we start? No opportunities. I think it's a strategically curated system yenye imeweka watu wakuwe slaves of the system and themselves, because people can't think beyond what they see in the society, like alcoholism, mental issues. People don't want to think beyond what they see, like beyond the echo chamber of the society. So we use art to empower communities, to show them that yes, they can make it. It's bigger beyond what you see, because now as actors tukipata na watu mtaa hii inaweza taka kuact. Unajua mimi nilikuwa na act. Everybody is an actor when you meet it. Do you know ukipata mahali watu wanalia hapo niite watapenda juu nikianza kulia mtu wangu mashida nikikumbuka mashida. So we really want to explore them. We want them to explore opportunities beyond what they've been taught and created to think.
That's very interesting that you say that. And I think for both of you here is that, when we look at very many countries around the world, and what they've been able to use art to do as a filler in society, but then not just a filler, but as a mainstream source for whether it is sources of employment, sources for expression, sources for governance, tools. You talk about seeing humor in tragedy. And I think about places of conflict whereby they used things like art and sports to be able to divert the destruction that conflict brought about, right? And I think that there's a place for it that we do not give enough importance, and that we do not place enough in terms of what can actually come out of this sector for nation, for individuals, for diverting from alcoholism that you talk about, that you can have victory over vice. So when you do, and I think there's also a place where it's just entertainment. It doesn't have to always be the heavy stuff that let's do a satire about what can actually be what the police service ought to be. It can just be entertainment, can't it? But then I think there's many roles that it can play. How do you see, and I think for both of you, that this particular sector can actually birth something that maybe folks have not really considered?
I need some time to think about that one. That's a very, very interesting question. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
We need to leverage on the power of art, and art is a communication tool that bypasses everything. Apart from Black and Blue, there's a show we do in Inoro, a telenovela. It is centered around the ills in the society. So my mother akona Ben 10, alifukuza mzae ndio abaki na mali, So when
what is a Ben 10?
Ben 10. Now Ben 10 is how do I put it in?
Is an Andrew.
Is an Andrew.
Is an Andrew who
is like
with somebody your age.
Yeah.
So your mother has a younger man, a toy boy.
Yeah, a toy boy on the show. Yeah. So
on the show, not real life.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
So the themes that we depict on that particular series, for me, I thought it was just acting until I met people, and people are like, "Hey, hata mama yangu alikuwa hivyo." So we really underestimate what acting and storylines really do, but it's not just entertainment. So with your question, I feel if you can empower more actors, conscious actors, because right now we have a hypersexualized content system.
True.
Like everything has to go back to, and it doesn't make sense. And we are failing to understand that the generation we are raising are watching us. So once they are grown, this is what they'll meet. But if you can channel resources to people like Abdi, you know, who understand what they're doing and they're doing for the better of the community. I believe we can spread this message far and wide, and we can also capitalize on the economic revenue that will bring, because unaona kama hizo za mtaani watoto wakipaint and the kids paint, the youth paint, the paints are sold. You know, the music being used for other purposes. So if you can really empower people who are really doing the right job, I believe you can do a lot for the great nation using art.
You know, art is therapeutic.
It is. It is.
If you look at the entire diversity of it and what it does to a person, what a movie does for you, if you're looking at, say, something that has been visually drawn, what it does for you, if you're listening to music, what it does for you, you're spot on. And it looks like this is one of those things that we missed out on. We focused on the politics and we forgot the healing power of art.
It was deliberate because also art raises the nation's consciousness.
Yes, it does.
True.
Yes,
and because of that, the political powers that be do not want to support the kind of, did not want to support that kind of art. You just ask yourself, why is it that Kenya, we are so good at, knowing all the Lingala songs? We do not know our own songs.
No.
So suppressed. The KBC would not play Kenyan musicians. They'd keep playing for us. The Lingala musicians.
Even Kenyan films,
Even Kenyan films.
Nigerians are more famous in Kenya.
Just to suppress that consciousness. So then when people like you, Abdi, come up and, you're thinking and you're saying, just based off my personal experience, I can create something that brings in a conversation, but at the same time entertains people. But it may have an effect. The impact of it would be raising some consciousness, but maybe when you look at the police, they actually also have a life. They also are going through the ups and downs. Karawa ameachwa, ataoga rudi soko, anarudi soko sangapi na ko job, right? All those kind of things that you're asking yourself. You need support, like Andrew is saying. What does it take for you? What did it take for you to sit and think, mockumentary? Look for Kina Andrew. Tell them, let's do a pilot. Go to Showmax. Tell Showmax here. Showmax tell you,
we'll get back to you.
Cheers, man. Wacha. Kuna zingine hapa, tunaangalia tutakuongelesha. What does it take?
Of course, it's a lot of work. And I think, for me personally, I just have this burning desire. I need an outlet. Like Andrew said, he's an artist. I feel like an artist as well. And for me, I think more than anything, I just want to share with people. I don't know if I'll get an audience. I think that's the biggest fear every artist has, whether they'll actually find an audience. I don't know. I have a lot of anxiety about what I make and what I produce.
Why do you have anxiety?
I think that's every filmmaker's greatest fear.
Achilles heel.
You just... Like, I have this idea, but I think it's good.
You want it to be accepted.
I want it to be good. I want people to like it, but will other people like it?
Will they resonate with your initial thought?
Exactly. And when people do resonate with it, it's really satisfying. It's a real high.
Surely, as an artist. You people don't understand public participation? Or do you wait for the public participation when the production is already out? Surely. You must have a think tank. You must have. I know you do have people you bounce ideas off.
Of course.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do. But
I'm still on that anxiety issue.
I think the people I still bounce my ideas off, I have to ask myself, am I in an echo chamber? Am I hearing, are they telling me what I want to hear? But I think you just have to be brave. You just have to put yourself out there. You just have to, be willing to let other people give you feedback, complete strangers, people who have no connection with you, and, just hope for the best.
Indeed. Let's take a break, 27 minutes to 9. And this is kudos, yes, indeed, to Showmax. Very, very many, very, very good shows that have been produced and they've aired on Showmax. And that's the support that Showmax has actually had. Many of them are winning the Talasha Awards all the time. I mean, you just go into Kalashas and it's shows that have been supported by Showmax, and they are winning this. One of them is Black and Blue. It should win the next ones, right?
Sure.
Make sure you submit in all the categories. This one has the Black Actor, Best Black Actor category, Best Short Actor category, Best of the Best, Best of it, Best Gen Z category, Best Bearded Director category. Put them all in there. Black and Blue is showing on Showmax, and you can get Showmax for as little as how much?
300 shillings a month.
300 bob. And you can watch it. You don't have to have a big screen called a TV. You can watch it on your screen called a telephone. It's a smartphone, right?
Yes, you can.
All you need is a data bundles.
You're good to go.
300 bob. Log on to your Showmax. Watch Black and Blue. That Matatu ride from wherever to wherever. Episode done. Like that. All right. Our guest this morning, Abdi Shuria, is a co-director, Black and Blue. You wrote the script, did you?
No. I worked with.
You conceptualized.
I conceptualized.
Right.
I was in the writer's room for all the storylines.
You was just saying, and then someone else is just writing.
No. It's a very vicious writer's room.
You'll tell us about it. You'll tell us about it. And on that show, you'll see a cop called Glenn Kyoko. Glenn is here. His name is Andrew Nganga Kimani.
Yeah.
And he's the Gen Z cop who's just come out of Kiganjo. Coming out at Mimini Karao. Now he gets there. Anashikwa. 25 to 9. Back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's a land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It is a sunny Friday morning at 17 degrees, highs of 25 and lows of 15. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 14 in a mostly sunny Nakuru at 18. It's 18 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 23 in a sunny Eldoret at 16. Sunny at 29 in Mombasa and 30 in Malindi. We'll see highs of 27 in Kisumu and lows of 19, and we'll see highs of 26 and lows of 14 in Kakamega. It's cloudy at 20 in Kampala with highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 33 in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam at 28. 15 and sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 25, while Mogadishu at 29 is sunny. We'll see highs of 31 and highs of 23 and lows of 9 in a sunny Addis Ababa at 13. There's a haze over Lagos skies at 24 with highs of 34, and mostly cloudy in Kinshasa going to highs of 32 and lows of 23.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
Some traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning coming in from Kasarani all the way through towards the Outer Ring Junction, and it continues then through towards Survey, and then nothing happens at Survey. And then we get to the Pangani underpass and everything kind of clogs up. But you get into the CBD, I think you'll be all right. The Northern Bypass, people are moving, not holding up. Even Lower Kabete today, where there's normally traffic, is free and clear all the way through towards Spring Valley. So yay for that. Wayaki Way is looking good as well. Gong Road is looking just fine. Haile Selassie, totally different kettle of fish. I'm so sorry. But for the next month, it's going to be madness with another S. The Eastern Bypass, not too bad now. And also on Outer Ring, you'll get through without too much of a headache. Let's keep an eye on all of this and see how it progresses through Traffic Hour. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Showing on Showmax. We are talking about that and about the film industry in this country. Abdi Shuria, who's a co-director for Black and Blue. We had Officer Glenn Kyoko, who stepped out, and now we're joined by Officer Kibet, Hilary Mwangi Womiti. Kibet, good morning.
Niko salama kabisa.
Kabisa?
Yes.
Umeingia?
Unajua sasa, lazima tiangalia patrol zone, nilikuwa nataka kuangalia in case of any emergency. Mahali naweza torokea.
Umeona wapi?
Bado sijaona. I'm still investigating.
Unaambia afande. Still under investigation.
Still under investigation. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Abdi, how do you cast for something like this? How do you do your casting? Do you actually just, audition, call people, give them a script? Do you sit and do you headhunt?
That's what we did. We did auditions, and you put the scripts out there. You see many different people read for the role, but then there's just that one guy. There's just that one lady, one guy that just pops in, and you're like, yeah, well, this is the person. And I think such a large part of directing is finding that person. And then when you find that talent, I barely have to do anything. I'm just take the script, let's go. Shoot. You're the character now. I just tweak, I just nudge you here, I just do this, I just do that. But it all happens in the casting room. Yeah.
So Officer Kibet is a bad guy, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Is he a good guy or a bad guy?
See, this is the thing, though. Isn't it very confusing? Because then you say, what's great acting, right?
Unajua ni vibaya kuongelea ofisa akiwa hapa. Simuniuliza direct.
So if somebody has a role that's supposed to be antagonistic
of the society, and at some point you've met an officer who has had a bad day in office, and you know how they can handle you. So I'm that cop. I don't care whether you are on the right or whether you're on the wrong. I still have to be the officer. I have to be the bigger person.
I can see it even now.
I have to ask the question: Do police men and women have good days? Because you're talking about somebody who's had a bad day in the office.
But most of them.
What's a good day in the office for a cop?
Yeah, exactly.
It's an off day.
He's not
there.
Do you have to spend time with police officers, with friends who are police officers, to understand their psyche, to understand what they go through, for you to bring it out? Or do you just sit back and say, I have interacted with cops, I have seen cops being depicted in various other shows, and I will pick this and go with it?
Actually, my story is kind of interesting. When I was young, when everybody was saying, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot, I said I want to be a cop. And the teachers were like, nini mbaya na huyu kijana? So later, I came to interact with police. Actually, many of my friends are police officers. So I have an inside idea of how...
Got a front row seat.
Yes. So, and I've had a rough experience with police. Like I've been arrested several times. So I know how...
Your friends don't tell you, usibebe hii kitu.
Sasa, unajua sasa...
Ukishikwa na hii kitu, utalala ndani.
Kuna vitu hamwezi ongea. Kuna vitu hata kama ni rafiki, kuna vitu naweka chini ya
Did you ever try to be a cop?
Yes, I did. When I finished Form 4, my father gave me fare to Moranga. They were conducting recruitment at Ihora Stadium. I never went. I realized, that time, nilikula fare. That time is when Al-Shabaab was like...
Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, so nikajiambia haki ya Mungu hapa naenda kukula risasi. Na ile sasa hizi acting, hii nitakula pamba. So nikaenda nikaambia mzazi, because I knew how the insights. Nikajua mimi mguu yangu ni flat. So nikaenda nikaambia mzazi, wamenikataa.
Niko na flat foot.
Niko na flat foot. Boot haitaingia. So that's how.
But you actually never went to Ihora Stadium.
I never went.
But you're the one who had made him believe
yes,
that for me to help you fulfill your dream, let me give you fare. to go for this recruitment exercise?
Nilirealize ni utoto nilikuwa nayo.
After umeshika fare ama
kabla? Nimeshika fare nikarealize hii fare thao naweza enda nicheze pool nikule
ngapi?
Na nililimwa. So
ulipoteza.
Nililose mara 2. Karao.
So how did you get into acting?
I got into acting when I finished Form 4 and went to Pangani Art Center. That's where I started doing set books. So we did the Kifo Kisimani, Enemy of the People, Shreds of Tenderness. So that's where the journey began. Then joined the Kenya National Theatre. We did traveling theatre. And then I started featuring in few roles on TV. Then I started landing on main roles, which I have now majored on until today. Yes.
Hilary, I'm interested because here your father thought, and I think this now plays out into what some of the things that we're talking about earlier when you came in, before you came in. Yeah. So you hear your father thought, you're going to be a police officer because that is what you had said. And in his mind, probably serious thing, my son, police officer, right? And then here you are doing traveling theatre, where in the minds of many, okay, come on, okay, he's going to do it and then he'll get over it, right? We'll do something else. It must have been 2 totally different worlds for him. Did you hear from him his opinion when you were doing this and obviously then became successful? Because it is clear. I mean, for anybody who's going to watch Black and Blue, it is clear that you're good at what you do.
Sure.
What was his reaction, if any?
Thank God for flat feet.
Yeah.
Our culture, we don't have a man talk with your dad. It's very rare. But when I mentioned to him that I will not be able to join the Kenya police, he told me that I should go back to school because my grades were not they were not good. So that's when I thought, now it's my time to chart my career and chart my future. Now it's me against the world. Now my dad, you've done your job. Wacha niende nipambane na dunia. Nimefunzwa na mama, wacha sasa nifunzwe na ulimwengu. So that's why I started doing the traveling theatre. And they're not paying. So mzae thought ukirudi basi umerudi na pesa. But ukirudi after a week unamuomba fare kuenda rehearsal. So recently is when he came to realize actually now huyu jamaa ako kazi. You know art. Unambia huyu mtu anafanya mambo ya vitimbi. It's not vioja hii mambo ya kuchekesha. It's not really considered as work. Yeah. So until utume kitu nyumbani, kitu substantial, si fair. So they realize, wow, this guy is working.
Yeah.
So then they start to appreciate you. And
do you think then, and also for Abdi, do you think then that's what then starts to break this mentality? That when you see that there's some kind of economic value, some kind of social standing, that recognition, that's when it starts to break down this idea that art is not a serious thing, that it cannot, it cannot stand on the same pedestal like these other careers or whatever, a banker or doctor, whatever. Do you think that when you start to see that it pays, when you start to see that people are established, that's when it becomes, almost real? I mean, it sounds almost mean to say it, but that's the reality, isn't it?
Definitely, in our society and our culture in Africa, for sure, art is something that has always been looked down upon, not considered serious, but there's a lot of potential in it. And, a lot of people can have careers, and I think you're 100% right. Once there is that evidence of financial gain, it also brings, when you do work, there's that structure, there's that discipline. You have to be on set on time. There's that routine. You have to carry and conduct yourself in a certain way. So I think it's a character building. And once people see all of that, then they're like, oh, this thing is serious. This thing, there is potential. There is something here.
Sure. Abdi, what's your story?
My story.
How did you end up here in filmmaking?
I've always been passionate about filming. I think for me, the person I contribute to setting me on this journey is my father. He was a photographer when he was in university, and he gave me his old film camera when I was a teenager, still in high school. And I would just tinker with that, develop my own photos. And then from, that old school photography to Photoshop. Someone introduced me to Photoshop. Then I was like, what? You can manipulate photos? And then from manipulating photos, someone introduced me to a video editing software. And that was like, what? Moving pictures. And I can tell people to do this and they do it. And then, of course, I've always been a film head. I've always loved filmmaking. I've always loved stories, listening to them, consuming them, and telling them. So I feel like it's something that just came very natural to me.
When people watch a show such as this one, Black and Blue, they don't know what goes on behind this whole production. So let's start from that point. You conceptualized it. So take us to the journey of actually getting a pilot done, or even beyond the pilot, a couple of episodes, season 1 being shot. How does it move from your head to script, from script to the cast?
So in filmmaking, you can never do it by yourself. You have to have a team that you can rely on, that you can work with to achieve the goal. So, of course, it starts off by, the idea. You get the writers, you get into a room and you write, and you be very mean with each other. There's nothing like, oh, that's a great idea. And, with the comedy, if we're not laughing, it's not working. And I think it's a very quick process to find out if an idea is good or not. If I'm not laughing, I'm not laughing.
That's
if
it.
Let's move on.
Maybe you're having a bad day.
I don't know. maybe, but I think when you surround yourself with the right people, you know that you're getting, authentic and genuine feedback. So from writing, you write the script, and then you move to casting.
How is the script written? So do you write every word that's going to be said by every character?
Ideally, yes.
Do you also write the what actions?
Yep.
So it's like writing a play.
Pretty much everything. You write, CT walked in, sat down, told the proverbs today, everything. You have to be very detail oriented.
Really?
And then you leave, I'd say, you try to put 90% down on paper and leave 10% or maybe 20% for now the actor, the artist, to now do their thing. Because you can micromanage, and he's a professional, he's an artist.
Right.
I also have to respect his craft, his insight, his take on the character, and that's why I've selected him. Because I can't envision Kibet as much as he's thought about this character in a way I can't, and he's brought him to life.
And when you're directing, and so you've got Kibet right there, and this is a certain scene, must he go by the script, or is he allowed to ad-lib everything as long as the point has come out?
For me, my approach is, with comedy especially, I'm very flexible. We're not really rigid to the script. We're more rigid to the idea. Is the idea funny? And sometimes, we get to set and, you read it and you're like, what is this? You toss it. And you're like, okay, let's figure something out on the spot.
Okay.
And, you bounce off each other.
Then the guys at Showmax, when you take to them, this is a pilot, and this is accompanied by the script, what do they do?
Same process. They're very critical. They're very harsh. And if they don't laugh,
so there's a committee on that other end.
Yeah, they watch, they read, and they tell you, hey, there's potential here. Hey, there's no potential here. And, they have a lot of data, they have a lot of experience, so they know what they're talking about. And, you have to respect their opinion, because it's just not one person who's just saying, it's multiple people who have to review it. So they'll tell you, correct here, do this, that, and it's all for the greater good of the show to produce something good, yeah.
Are there some scripts that you would see, Hillary, that you wouldn't take?
Of course.
Why?
Kuna script inaweza kuwa imeandikwa a certain scene that you are not comfortable, like act naked. Would I?
Would you?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What if they tell you there's a body double?
There's a body?
double. There's someone else who's going to do the naked part. As long as they're not shown as you, you're not going to be the naked guy.
I know, but you'll see I was a naked guy.
When we are watching.
Yes, you'll see the naked guy. So I think there are roles that you limit yourself. You know, as an artist, there's a way you want to appeal to your audience. And there are things you can say no to because then they'll change the perception that you don't want to put out there.
Then it raises a question. Yeah. Are there certain roles that you enjoy or you prefer to others?
Not really.
Why?
Actually, I prefer a role that I'm not comfortable in, so that I can be able to put work into.
So you can broaden your horizon and broaden your scope.
Yes. Yeah, but of course there are favorite roles that you when you see the role you're like
let me ask the question differently.
Amen.
Do you like the roles where you're portrayed as a good guy, or do you prefer the roles where you're portrayed as a bad guy?
Good guys don't really end up well, so I'd rather start with bad guys who end up really good well.
So still with Black and Blue,
yes.
What are you hoping? I mean, obviously you're hoping that more folks will come out and watch it. I mean, you can do that on Showmax,
yes.
You know. But what are you hoping will be achieved with the show from an artist's point of view?
What I'm hoping to be achieved is that the people realize the other side of a police officer. Like we have a civilian OCS. Like this civilian OCS is bringing the mind of a Kenyan, like a typical Kenyan, to the table. Some may work, some may not work. So at the end of the day, the goal here is to not view the police. There are good policemen out here. I'm sure you can mention a few. There are those who are dedicated to what the cause. But so at the end of the day, I hope the show has the balance of the raya na police. Police in binadamu. Yes.
What about for you, Abdi?
For me, of course I want to entertain people. I want to make people escape just for a bit, to blow off some steam, to laugh, to be like, yes, I relate to that scenario. Yes, I can see myself in there. And just for a moment, just forget their worries and go somewhere else and then just enjoy.
Is it paying?
Is it paying?
Yeah.
It's a very tricky question to answer.
Is film paying in Kenya?
That's the third time, Abdi, you said. Is that how you avoid answering a question directly?
Maybe.
There's the answer.
But I think in some cases it pays. In some cases you just do it because it's passion.
Yeah.
It's
a passion project. But if you look at the film industry, in Kenya, maybe how long have you been in this industry? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20?
I'd say maybe like around from 2010.
All right, so 14 years. So in those 14 years, have you seen changes?
Yeah, I've seen drastic changes. Definitely the industry has grown. It's become something that you can actually make a living from. It does pay. But I think we still have a long way to go. It's still a very small industry. It still has its flaws, and there's still a lot of room for improvement. But from what I've seen over the years is that it's moving forward in the right direction. Slowly but surely.
So there's something that's happening in this space.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, Hilary, do you think it's...
Yeah, I think from what Abdi has said, art is a talent. It's a God-given talent. So you develop it into passion. Then later on, it's work.
Yeah.
So something that can pay your bills, like do most of your daily thing. That is work. So I think it's paying. Only just a little more push from now ideas like Abdi Sababu. You find many a times that ideas are not taken well in zapata mabi Showmax ifike mahali sema hii kipindi imeenda. So hivyo ndio tumefutwa na tumerudi mashambani.
Right.
Yeah.
So Just in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Who would you want to say thank you to for where you are at right now?
First of all, I would like to thank God because He's the utmost power. The next person I want to thank is me for pushing myself.
Very good. Very well said, Abdi.
I'd say, of course, my family. Of course, Showmax for giving me the opportunity to produce this show, and all the friends and colleagues that have been with me along the journey. Yeah.
Yep. So go ahead, watch it, Black and Blue on Showmax. We've been having a conversation with the co-director Abdi Shuria. We also had Hilary Mwangi who acts as Kibet. Earlier we had Andrew Kimani, who is Glenn Kyoko in this particular series. Say hi to my pal, Getora Kamau.
Oh, GK.
Yeah, the GK.
Yeah.
It's 9 a.m. Time for the news.
Spice up your life.
Very nice. Thank you.
I am Edwin Lisamira. As Kenya joins the world to mark the UN-backed 16-day campaign to challenge violence against women and girls, a 20-year-old woman is the latest to fall victim to the tragedy in Nyeri County. Christine Gesare was stabbed to death by her lover, who later tried to take his own life. Police say Gesare sustained 9 stab wounds. These women saw what happened.
Nikasikia sauti mtu akilia akiniita mam. Huyo msichana vile aliniita ameanguka chini. Kijana kuna kisu mkononi. Anaendelea kumdunga ya kudunga. Sasa mimi hapo nikafunikwa na damu, si kuona chochote. Sasa ndio hapa kuanzia hapo hata ukiniuliza sitakuambia chochote. Kijana akauliza msichana, mtoto akona pampa? Akasema hapana, ana hiyo diaper. Sasa ndio kijana akaenda kuendea diaper huko, akasema anataka kwenda na mtoto mdogo. Mama yake akamwambia hapana, mtoto ni mgonjwa, hawezi toka hapa. Kijana ndio akaelekea huko, akaenda kununua pampa. Sasa hapo ndipo pengine alinunua hiyo kisu.
Close to 100 women are now known to have been murdered, according to the National Police Service, but that figure could be much higher. The police have insisted that the women were not deliberately targeted for their gender. New research shows that majority of Kenyans now embrace women's rights and feminist activities. The report says an overwhelming number of Kenyans support women agitation for equality. 69% of Kenyans support women's activists' engagement in peaceful protests. The study was commissioned by Defenders Coalition on the perception of participation of women in activism and human rights defense work. Former Limuru MP Peter Mwathi's family is in distress following his alleged abduction by people believed to be police officers in Thursday's incident involving Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. In the incident, Gachagua was forced to run for his life after goons disrupted a funeral service he was attending in Limuru. Last evening, Mwathi's wife, Anne Mungai, joined a section of leaders allied to Gachagua at the DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road to demand for swift investigations into the chaos. She demanded Mwathi's immediate release.
Mine is just to ask the government to release my husband because he went for a funeral. He has attended many other funerals in Limuru. He has served the people of Limuru diligently, and he was abducted by force because the vehicle he had gotten into so that he gets out of the chaos was sandwiched by 2 Subarus that had no number plates. So definitely that's the government. So may the government release my husband.
At the same time, Gashagua's allies, who alleged that the incident was an attempt on his life, claimed that the DCI did not give them audience. Githunguri MP Gathoni Wamichomba was there.
They have obviously denied us entry, something that is very, very shocking, that elected members of parliament and senators who have the mandate of the people of Kenya through the power of the vote can be denied to access DCI headquarters at this time to follow up on matters that pertains to people's lives. A missing member of parliament, former member of parliament, a father and a husband and a father of children, it's something that is worrying at this hour. We would want to understand what is going on. Abductions are really back in this country.
According to Gachagwa's allies, the violence was orchestrated by hundreds of goons ferried from neighboring constituencies by agents of the state in order to harm Gachagua. Meanwhile, Gachagua, who was driven out of the funeral venue under a hail of stones, has said that a specific group followed him as he went to his car, which they proceeded to attack with stones, iron bars, machetes and sticks. He's blamed the government for the violence, citing the removal of the final aspects of his security earlier this week following his impeachment. Reports from Haiti say a team of Kenyan police on Thursday fought and recaptured a police station that had been occupied by criminal gangs. Officials said the officers collaborated with the Haitian National Police under the Multinational Security Support Mission. They opened the station, marking their third forward operating base after the ones at the National Police Academy and at Pont Sonde. The General Inspectorate of the National Police of Haiti building, which had been deserted and abandoned because of attacks from gangs, will now house the Multinational Security Support Mission personnel. Renovation started immediately to make the building habitable and operational. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler? Who's a hustler?
Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
At a few minutes after 9 o'clock, a quick look at what's happening on the streets. Eastern Bypass looking pretty good. We've done very well with traffic this morning. Everybody is either on their way or already reached where they're going because no traffic there. In and outbound traffic on the on Outer Ring should be expected. Also then making its way towards Thika Superhighway. There is some traffic there coming in from Garden City, uncharacteristic at this hour, but okay, we'll deal with it as we go along, right? Northern Bypass traffic fizzled out. Limuru Road traffic not on Friday. And also on Wairemu Way, I think we're doing pretty good getting out into the city. Lower Kabete, Spring Valley, they said Friday, we don't do traffic. Let's wait till Monday. Ngong Road is looking good as well. And yeah, that's about the size of it. Magadi Road traffic, there's a little bit of that. It'll find its way onto Langata Road and fizzle out as well. Haile Selassie, yes, I keep telling you every day. Until January 15th, call 17th, it will be busy. So let's keep an eye out for that. And we'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How are you doing? Going into the final hour of The Situation Room this year. Because the next Situation Room is just going to be a blah, 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 than January 2025. Imagine.
Then before you know it's January 2025, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that Judith Thiambo told me yesterday, by the way, you know, they're thinking, my relationship manager at Standard Chartered Bank, when she had bought me lunch at the Kempinski, and we had some very nice salmon.
Okay, you might actually be telling the truth though, because yesterday we were on a call and then you said, I'm at Kempinski and I'm hearing some noise. So it's possible that you're speaking the truth. Carry on. See, there's a connection. I have not finished. Let's carry on.
I'm eating this thing called salmon. That's okay. Carry on.
Haina mfupa. So, na haina kichwa.
Kwa ufupi ni steak.
Yeah.
Steak ya samaki.
So anyway, it's about the thinking of the extra money, and that's what you take to go and save and invest. Like, you know, you're never going to have extra money, yeah? You're never going to have this is the money that I had, and then this is the extra money, and now this extra money is what now is starting to say to build wealth. Nah. You've got to decide from the very beginning, this is the money that goes into my wealth building journey.
Yes.
Okay? Don't say that, you know, you had some money and some spare cash. Apana, it's not the 2 bob that you put it in a tin at the supermarket.
No. And isn't that what they say? That it's not going to be easy. It's going to give you a little bit of a pinch, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the long run is what you're looking forward to. And that you can actually grow this wealth into something that's going to make a difference for you. You can decide you want to store it in Kenya shillings, that's okay. You want to store it in USD, even better. You want to do it in euro or you want to do it in British pounds, that is okay. You're not quite sure where to start. And that's where the folks at Standard Chartered come in, because they say, you know what? You don't know, we do. Let's hold your hand and make sure you can actually start to create this wealth. You grow it and then you manage it into the future. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You want to invest, you want school fees for children at the best schools in the world, whatever it is that you want to do. But you got to start. And how do you start? Send an email to wealth.kenya@sc.com. Somebody's on the other end of that email. They're going to give you a call. You're going to sit down. You get to the place where you'll be eating salmon at Kempinski.
Yeah, because I'm at that point of building wealth. CT, who's at the point of now managing his wealth, they had to take him to the bank itself.
Come and see where
Open
these
the
people
vault.
actually show
Here's
them
your
the
money,
cash.
right? So this is what we're going to do to manage your money. They had to show him the money. See me?
They're showing you the salmon.
You need to stop being manual. It's not as though in that vault there's a corner they say that's where city's money is. There's no.
Isn't that what they showed you?
What did they show you?
What did they
You
show
don't want
you?
to tell us. It's okay, we understand. People who are wealthy also.
By the way, folks, I forgive you.
We know nothing about
You
wealth.
don't understand it. Clearly, it's not something that you can see. It is too much. We don't know. Show me in a vote. Wealth.kenya@sc.com.
Yes. Our Health Friday conversation today is going to go back into what we've decided let's do a couple of weeks now. And this is looking at our young people, our young adults, and what they're going through, our young children at adolescent age and what they're going through. Is there a mental health issue with our young Kenyans? Breaking the stigma, unpacking the truth about adolescent mental health. We're joined by a psychologist, a TEDx speaker, an adolescent mental health consultant. Her name is Bini Brambat Sharma. Good morning, Bini.
Good morning.
How
Thank
are
you
you?
so much. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Well, you sound good.
Thanks.
Ndu?
Yes.
Does she look good?
I'm telling
or
you.
what?
I've seen many a sari in my life. However, resplendent is the word. That I can't think of another word today.
Thank you. Thank you
It's
very,
very
much.
nice.
Thank you. I think I'm going to get one for you and help you drape it. And teach you to drape it, rather.
It's 10 o'clock. Can we go?
Haraka haraka.
Let's go.
Yes. Do they sell sari at Nini? Woolworths?
You don't worry. They'll leave it to me.
You guys, I'm sorry. I don't know where people are going to live because they said they're going to buy the world for me.
Someday you'll see her in a sari.
Yes, but why are you saying sorry?
As I'm sorry for you.
It is. She started the offer with you. What makes you think we will not get offers of saris as well?
You want to wear sari?
You know, men also wear it. You'd be surprised at how well they carry it. Yeah, today we are talking about a very different time.
Very
you should see my legs.
See, it's covered, that's the best part.
Before we go south.
Anyway, Bini, Siti will tell you about what they are doing at Woolworths, right? Now until Monday.
Every time you think of value, you think of something that makes your heart happy. It doesn't have to be something material. But in this instance, we're talking about something material. Woolworths is saying, look, up until the 2nd of December, if you come to any of our outlets, if you choose 3 items, you only pay for 2. 1 will be free.
Wow.
Yes. Let me repeat. If you choose 3 items, then you only need to pay for 2, 1 will be free. Now, whether it is for yourself, whether it is for your loved ones, whether it is for your friend, but you need to go to Woolworths to see the large variety of what they have on offer to be able to make that decision properly. It's not complicated. Up to the 2nd of December. Now, please, 2nd of December, not 2nd of January, December.
Not 2nd December.
Not 2nd December. So that you go on the 25th and say, hey, I am here, Woolworths. And you ask, why? You said, said, hey, that thing ended on the 2nd of December. Yes.
Okay. Then now, please give her the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, a landlocked country. I'm telling you, you can't get more landlocked than Eswatini.
Surrounded by another country.
Yes, apart from Mozambique on the northwest, it is surrounded by South Africa.
Do they have a lake?
They do.
They have a lake?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
At least they have a water body.
No, they do have a water body.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay.
They also have people.
Oh, wow.
A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
A runaway monk never speaks well of his monastery.
Yes.
Benny, what do you think this proverb is saying?
It's probably saying that if he has to run away, that means he probably didn't have good experiences. And so probably he's carrying that to share with whoever he speaks to.
You know what I say? A runaway monk is probably telling the truth.
Yeah, it's bad in there, guys.
If you have got your child in there, go get them out.
But it also speaks of expectations. What did they expect? Clearly the expectations were not met.
That's true. Or what's expected of a monk? To be pious.
Yes.
And, calm in nature.
Yes.
So it's rare that you would come up with a terrible situation. But if you've come and you've said that things are bad, that if you've had to run away, you've probably run away from fear or something.
Yes, a monastery is not meant for activists.
Maybe you're expected to go in there and just chill.
Chill. That's the whole point.
Yeah. And then you get into the monastery and you're waking up at 3 a.m. Dong, dong, get up.
Sing, pray,
and talk little.
Silence. Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you do, Bini?
Well, that's a great question. Let's start with I'm on a mission to create awareness that mental health equals brain health. And more so in the world of adolescents and parents. So my day-to-day life is one-on-one sessions with 9 to 19-year-olds and sometimes youth, one-on-one sessions with parents. And I also hold group sessions, empowering teenagers to build life essential skills. I'm a speaker and I do a lot of speaking engagements, like sometimes being invited to a place like this. What I'm seeing in the world today is that, yes, mental health, there is still some conversation around here or there. But when it comes to the age group of 9 to 19-year-old, it's like completely forgotten. That cohort is completely forgotten. Whereas what I see is that the mental health in adolescents is deteriorating at the fastest speed. It's one of the fastest growing epidemic, that we are dealing with. So yeah, that's what I do for a living. I'm a licensed psychologist.
What did you observe? What made you get here?
This is interesting, very interesting, Eric. When Sion and Latifa were 13, I came across something that was a letter.
Our daughters.
Yeah, that's our daughters. It was written by someone of their age group, and it was just a letter. It was just like a poetry, but it was dark. It was sad. It was dark. And when my daughter came to me and said, "Mom, look, someone wrote this." And when I read, I was like, this cannot be possible for a 13-year-old. And so I started researching on it. And this is what I realized. Number one, let me rephrase it. Highest amount of suicide rates in adolescents. Highest amount of depression and panic attacks in adolescents. The stress levels of adolescents is by far the highest than even adults. And these are statistics not of one state or one country, it's global. And so that's when I thought, okay, are we even talking about it? Are we doing something about it? And that's where I think I started this journey of creating a program called Empower Teens Program, where the idea was to create a bridge between people just waking up and saying, okay, my child has a headache consistently, let's go to a therapist or a doctor. We don't do that. So my program became a space for children to come, have a safe space, speak, talk, and then we could pick those kids who are really going through self-harming tendencies or depression or panic attacks or anxiety, and then handhold them and involve the parents and speak about it and then slowly take them towards the clinical way. So this is what I observed, and in the last about 8 years, it is getting there, it is bad, and especially post-COVID, it's worse.
Why? Why are we having, when I was 13, what are you thinking about? Finish your math homework, play some basketball. Your mom and dad are going to do this. Maybe later you realize that there was some trauma and then you find your way through it. But what am I saying is that at that age, 13, 14, 12, 11, you're not really concerned with things that would essentially bring you anxiety or panic attacks. True. Life is being taken care of for you.
Absolutely. Somebody else is paying the bills.
Somebody else is paying the bills. Somebody else is making sure that you basically need to show up. So what would be causing, and I'm not saying that it's the same situation now, but what would be causing this panic, this anxiety in 13, 14 adolescents? We're not even talking about well on in years of teenagers. What is it?
So it's interesting you ask that, because it's a very, very relevant question to what we are going to speak today. Did this happen to us when we were growing up? Yes. Did it reach this extent? No. And I'll tell you why. So, number one, let's go towards the neuroscience of a teenager's brain. Okay, so this part of your brain is your prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking part of the brain, the part of the brain that tells you not to drink and drive. You'd be in trouble. Okay, that's the part of the brain which helps you with all the executive decision making. Correct? Now take a guess, by what age is the thinking part of your brain completely developed to do its job?
Mid-20s.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know that. 25.
25, yeah.
25. So that means our children from between the age of 9 and all the way till mid-20s, their brains are functioning from the emotional part of the brain, the amygdala. And that's why everything that they experience is exaggerated. All their emotions are exaggerated. I think it's also an important point to realize that the God wanted us to sit with our feelings and emotions before we shifted the gear to our thinking minds. But what are we actually doing today? Anything that comes to your feelings or emotions, we kind of deflect it and we shift to the thinking mind. We are better than this. We are stronger than this. Correct? So that's number one, that they are meant to be exactly the way they are. Overreacting, acting out, acting in, having big, huge emotions. That's science. So that's number one, which was there even during our times. Okay. Number two is 9 to 19 is a classic time for identity formation. That's the time that they are going through identity crisis. So think about yourselves. When we were 12 or 13, we would look in the mirror and feel, my shoulders are too narrow, I'm too thin, my nose is wonky, I have acne all over my face, I'm not beautiful, I'm ugly, people hate me. And that's exactly what every teen is going through. Every teen, even the most popular, even the prefects, and even the kids who are not getting good grades. Everyone looks in the mirror and says, something is wrong with me, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, there's hormonal changes going on. Okay, so they are going to go through this heavy emotional swings. And they really don't know what to do with all of this. They have no clue what to do with all. There's nobody guiding them through this stage. Now, if this was not enough, there is parental pressure, there is academic pressure to perform. And it's there. There is somewhere a narrative we've created that if we are not getting the grades, then we are not worthy of love. Or if we are not getting those grades or we are not performing, then we are not worthy of a place in the world. So it immediately comes to, if I do not get those grades, I'm going to be ostracized, rejected, failure. And now remember, the thinking mind is not there. So it's all emotions. And if all of this was not enough, there is this boom of screen time, the internet. This was non-existent during our times. Correct? So imagine when we were like probably 12 or 13 and there was a nickname for us, okay? Something silly. Probably 5 of our friends called us that. And it stayed in those 5 people. Today you get a label, it goes to almost 1,000 people. Cyberbullying is a real thing. People are putting things on Instagram, on Snapchat, on stuff which makes them feel they are even more lonelier than before. Our times, friendships were easy. We had nothing to do except just talk, connect, have this kind of attuned presence that we are having right now with each other. Our children, parents. So what is it taking away? It is taking away a deeper connection that we need as human beings. It's our fundamental need for survival to connect with each other, which we had it in abundance. At the end of the day, we went home, we changed, we went down and played. We finished playing, we came up, we helped with setting the dining table. We had conversations with our dad, with our mom, with our grandparents. The community was bigger. We used to live in bigger families. There was always somebody looking after us, even if it was not directly our parents. Maybe an aunt or an uncle. The extended families did that. Correct? So that's number one. We had that in abundance. The children today don't. Both parents are working. Sometimes there are single parents. Number two, we had abundant sunshine and time in nature. That is what is fundamental for a developing brain. Very rarely people talk about this. When you get sunshine and time in nature, it actually builds healthy neural pathways to memorize better. Cognitive skills get better. You feel happier. Happy hormones are released. We used to get that in abundance. So although everything else was going, this is something that we had which balanced our brains. to become a much more healthy and a resilient brain.
But Binny, they're still getting the same. They're in school all day. They're playing. There's game time. There's play time. There's lunch time. They're outside.
Is it really? The world that I see is that yes, they go to school, but it is constantly like from classroom to classroom, and they have, which also we had, they have about like 8 teachers which are more like bosses, and their job is to ensure that every boss is happy with themselves. They barely have playtime. What they have is a lot of structured time which the brain doesn't want. And even if they do have playtime, it is again built in a form of achievement and competition. If it's basketball or if it's sports. Sports is good, and I'm not taking that away. But they still need the absolute unstructured outdoor playtime which we had at the end of the day. And most importantly, every free moment they have, they are connected to screen of some sort or other. And that is creating devastating impact on their brain health.
Can you draw a line between, because in societies today, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at rural, urban, that there are children, there are those in that age bracket who are not connected to screens or whatever. Can we draw a line and say that those who then are not, psychologically then are at a healthier structure than those who are?
Absolutely. I have met families, and I have been one of those families where we have very strict screen time rules. And mind you, I'm going to share something which is going to literally make you feel, what? So are you ready for it?
Okay. Yes,
I'm saying...
I want to feel where.
Hold your heart.
Yes.
Hold your heart. I'm going to share something which people don't talk about. It doesn't come out in statistics. But today what I see knee deep working with adolescents is 10 out of 10 adolescents are getting anxiety and panic attacks. 100 out of 100 adolescents are getting it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that expression. The other day I was in a school speaking to about 400 12-year-olds, and I asked them to close their eyes and chin to chest. And I said, raise your hand if in the last 2 months you felt anxiety and you've had a panic attack. Every hand in the room has gone up. It's on my socials.
Understand what
they
a
do.
panic
12-year-olds, yes, they write to me. Trust me, they do. You'd be surprised what 12-year-olds today know.
You know, Binny, these kids nowadays, they have different definitions of things.
Yeah.
What is their definition of anxiety?
Or like a 12-year-old say, I'm so stressed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. See, their understanding of anxiety is feeling so scared that it stops you from doing your day-to-day activities. Your heartbeat goes at a different level. Your hands are shaking. Their knees are shaking. Let me tell you, you would have not known this. Let me take a bigger strand. This is anxiety. Notice this in your teenagers. This, I'm shaking my leg constantly. That's anxiety. Notice that in adults. This
biting their tongue, their
is anxiety.
Fingernails.
And we had it.
Yeah.
We had it. The difference is, and this is where it gets really interesting, the difference is this generation is okay labeling it. We experienced it, we just don't want to label it.
We didn't know. We thought it's just normal.
Correct.
It's like breathing. At some point you're going to feel something.
Actually, you had an experience that no one explained to you.
Yeah.
Correct, because the knowledge wasn't available then.
So your suffering was actually even more than you imagined.
Correct, thank you.
And then you grew up with it, and as an adult, you probably still have the same anxieties you had when you were an adolescent.
We just don't know that those are anxieties.
Absolutely.
And they influence very many things you do in adulthood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And untapped anxiety and untapped extreme stress or a chronic stress is what results in depression. And sometimes this is what results in addictive behaviors.
It's also what results in the violence that you sometimes see when somebody is so tightly wound up and they can't understand what it is that has wound them up. And so every reaction they have to anything that is uncomfortable just piles up on it, and then they explode.
And you said it so well, the word violence. I'm going to ask a question here, and it's going to be interesting to know what you think. Tell me, what is the core emotion that leads to violence? And I'll just give you an idea of what emotions. I'm looking at overwhelm, abandonment, rejection, sad, lonely, angry. These are just the amount of emotions I'm throwing, but it's not none of these.
Fear.
Interesting, no. The core emotion, and I can guarantee you, anyone who has been violent would have felt a lot of this emotion.
Mm. And what accompanies it is a sense of helplessness, which you don't even acknowledge.
Absolutely.
But it actually envelopes you, and you don't know what to do, so you lash out.
You lash out.
So it's what? Helplessness?
It's humiliation.
Yes.
So imagine now children, how are they humiliated in front of adults, in front of fellow mates, in a classroom, a teacher doing that, an adult doing that, calling them out. And to a child, it's a core feeling of shame. So if you look at any violence that happens in the world and you look back at their stories, it does come down to someone suppressed them. Someone made them feel a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and humiliated them. And that suppressed energy turns into anger, which then turns into violence.
And when they get older and somebody ignites that very, very, very emotion, again, they will lash out. But now they're adults. So the lashing out is far more violent and the consequences are more dire.
Correct.
No, guys, this one, it's less now than it was before.
What is less exactly?
This lashing out, no, the lashing out, the humiliation.
No.
In school, when you were beaten in front of it, everybody who got below 10 come in front of the classroom. Everybody. Did you get this one wrong? Talk up, the teacher calling you names, and they could call you names. Your own parents, sometimes their kids were called names by their own parents.
Let's backtrack it and talk about, say, value systems that you have, and they can be generational.
Yeah.
But they elicit the same responses. For instance, most of us, when we were in primary school, walked to school. Throughout, you walked. And in walking, you walked with people who are your neighbors, people who are your companions, and your time to chat, divert, walk.
Yes.
Walk. When you say that, sorry to interrupt, but when you said that, you said it because, yes, we were humiliated, but when we are walking, that energy is released. When you're talking with people, that energy, we had natural therapy. Because imagine at 13, when somebody did that and you were humiliated, you come out, you'll at least have 3 or 4 who'll put a hand on your shoulder. Then on the way back, you're talking to your friend and you're really calling out that teacher. It's therapy, it's talk therapy. You're doing that and you're letting it all out.
So now it's happening in the school bus. 3 hours in traffic going
It doesn't.
home.
You know what's happening in the school bus? This.
What?
Tell me.
Screen time.
Screen time. That is what is happening. The moment you find me a teenager, he has a moment free and he's not going to look for a screen. You find me one teenager.
Who's taking their
Almost everybody.
Phones are allowed in schools nowadays.
I think in Australia, I recently read that, yes, they are trying to now ban the phones from school, but it's not completely...
Then maybe, then we can even argue on the other side, is that when this kid is on the screen and they're on TikTok, they're laughing. They're finding the funny videos and memes and it's humor. Humor is the best.
That's true. What we're referring to here is the human contact.
The human connection.
Believe me, there's nothing to compare it with. You can't compare it with anything
You can never. In fact, it's called emotional numbing.
Yes.
Everything that we do on screen is called we feel more disconnected than ever. Have you ever start noticing what happens to your body when you're constantly scrolling? If you notice people who are constantly scrolling and are on phone or some kind of screen, you will also see a lot of anxiety and anger tantrums in them. That's what it does. Because, okay, now I'll go a little bit more scientific here. So stay with me. Imagine our brain and our neural pathways as lemon, okay? A slice of lemon. So every time we do something which is natural, like being out in sunlight, a little bit of lemon is squeezed. That's our happy hormone, okay? Dopamine, little bit, a drop of dopamine. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Small things like having family times, dopamine, or drip of dopamine, okay? Now, when you're on your phone for anything more than 20 minutes constantly, your entire lemon is squeezed, all your dopamine is dumped in that one slot. What happens after that? Your brain doesn't have the capacity to now recreate or share more dopamine. So what do you think will happen? They will go through worse syndrome of like not being able to feel happy. So what would they do? They'll go back to the phone. So it's a dance between your happy hormones and what you don't get, and your brain is not able to produce that. It requires a drip of dopamine, not a dump of dopamine.
Okay, let's take a break. 22 to 10. We're having a conversation about unpacking the truth about adolescent mental health. Bini Sharma is a psychologist. She's an adolescent mental health consultant, and she's also a TEDx speaker. Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi. It is 19 degrees. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 15 through Friday. Highs of 24 and lows of 14 in a sunny Nakuru, and at 19, Nyeri will go to highs of 25 and lows of 15. It's also 19 in Eldoret. Highs of 23 and lows of 12. Partly sunny conditions now in Mombasa at 31 with highs of 34 and highs of 33 and lows of 26 in a sunny Malindi at 31. It's mostly sunny at 24 in Kisumu with highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 26 in a sunny Kakamega at 21. We're looking into a partly sunny Kampala at 20 with highs of 25, and at 29 Dar es Salaam is sunny with highs of 33. Johannesburg at 20, sunny going to highs of 26, and Mogadishu at 30, sunny going to highs of 31. It's 15 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 34 in a hazy Lagos, currently at 24. It's 23 and cloudy in Kinshasa with highs of 32, and we're looking into a sunny Beijing at 14. Clear in Paris at 1 degree, highs of 8 and lows of 0, while at 3 London is cloudy with highs of 9. And around things out to New York, where Thursday night still 5 degrees and clear, coming into Friday, highs of 7 and lows of 0.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Facebook at SpiceFM KE. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM from
Nairobi. With Bini Sharma. That's what we're talking about. So I was asking during the break, are we saying that our children now are being brought up completely different from children previously? Of course, in every generation, there's going to be something that is, distracting or different. This one's, there's school, there's social media. Before that, there was school, there were books. And traditionally, there were just kids get up, play, participate in chores, get back home in the evening, sit with the uncles by the fireplace or your aunties, participate in chores, repeat tomorrow. Then there was school. Wake up, get into a structured thing that takes you into a school and brings you back home. And then you're still participating in chores. Now there's get up, go to school, come back, spend time on the screen, do your homework on a screen, engage with school on a screen. But it's life, Bini. I mean, it's life.
It is life, and if we were living it fully, I have no problem with it. If this kind of life is making us lose our adolescents to suicides and death and mental health conditions, then it's something that we need to talk about. And you asked me that, are we doing something different? Now, this is where it gets interesting. Honestly, I wish we did something different. We are not doing anything different, but we are trying to raise our children exactly the same way our parents raised us. And I'm not saying that they did anything wrong. They did perfect. They did well in their times. But then the times have changed. Number one, it's not the same template anymore. Number two. Number three, our children are not getting the sunshine and the outdoor unstructured playtime, which is good for their brain. Number four, they are not getting connection, which is human connection, as families used to sit together, and presence from their parents. On the contrary, parents are also going through the same overwhelm of screen time. So what is happening is, yes, times have changed where I had a mom who was more present. Dad, even though he was a provider, was still more present. But the children of today are getting parents who are not present. And I'm not in no way judging the parents, but the times are like this, that we also are constantly on screens. So what I would really ask parents is to probably, not much, but 20 minutes of attuned presence. And I'm again saying attuned presence is not just being there but not being there. Attuned presence means I'm with you and I'm listening like we all are having right now. Because our brain literally gets a high on shared experiences. So when a child is talking to a parent and the parent is like, oh really, that happened, tell me more. Their brainwave are on the same length, which gives us shared experiences, which releases happy hormones, which makes us feel like we belong in the world. All I expect parents and us to do is 20 minutes of attuned connection and time with a child. And I promise you, a week of that, and you'll see a very different teenager in your house in terms of behaviors.
Do they know that that's what they lack? Or do they know that they're lacking something which makes them behave differently?
Okay. If I were to speak my truth, no. They have no clue. Absolutely no clue. All parents feel that they are doing absolutely a right thing in terms of parenting. And why not? Because parenting is, we believe nothing that is taught, that's something that comes in us. But what if I told you that the new age parenting is totally different than what our parents did? And so when they come to me sometimes, or when conversations happen, the focus is them, their behavior. But what if I tell them that everything that you're seeing in them is actually a reflection of you? You've got to change the way you talk. You've got to change your environment. You've got to give them more time. You've got to be more patient. And most importantly, you cannot compare them. And our parents always compared us. So that is just a template. We are just following through that. This comparison kills personality, makes you feel even more isolated.
You know what is interesting is, if you think of parenting, parents are always trying to prepare their children for the world in which they live in. But do we actually understand that perhaps we also need to prepare our children for the world that they expect to live in now as adults?
Correct.
Because to do that, we need to understand the world that the children are living in, because we tend to think that they live in the world we live in, and often that is not entirely true. And the future that we speak of is a future that we actually probably have very little knowledge of.
We have no clue about the future.
Or no connection whatsoever.
Correct.
So our best efforts sometimes don't cut it. But there's something about the traditional way people were brought up. It was a shared responsibility because you spent a lot of time in the company of other children.
Absolutely.
And then you also went to other families. So it was a process of socializing and understanding. You could see the differences that people have in their families. But it was balanced. There are things that would be set right just in the process of socializing. So you didn't need the parent to tell you. You would see it for yourself, you realize, maybe
absolutely.
This is, yes.
Yeah.
But if you look at the focus on the nuclear family, that sometimes deprives children of that association that they have, or of the way we socialize, where we go to establishments where instead of visiting somebody in their home, you meet in a restaurant and just the two of you.
Absolutely.
And it's modern. Yeah. And we fail to understand that the people whom we are copying, the people whose lives and socialization processes we are imitating, have made their lives a fairly decent disaster when it comes to the way human beings just relate to each other.
Totally.
So, in essence, it's a good thing because we can see where we're headed.
Absolutely.
You abandon something that is actually useful to you and is helpful, and you embrace something whose consequences will actually work against you.
It will. And what one thing we kind of don't talk about enough is that anything that is suppressed, any conversation that is not brought to the table, becomes an energy in your body. It is something that you're holding in your body. Now, science has proven that almost all your physical ailments come from stressors, from suppressed emotions. So that means everything, and I'm talking about heart attacks, cancer, asthma, everything comes from unprocessed emotions. Yeah.
And also, the one thing that does the greatest damage to your immune system are stresses.
Absolutely. And so when you say stresses, what is stress? It's basically a situation that we feel is out of our control.
Okay.
Correct? Now think about children. In their life, in the way they look at it, there's nothing in their control. The schools they go to is not mostly their choice. They're already put into it. The siblings they have, not their choice. The uncle and aunts they have, not their choice.
What they
the
eat.
teachers, what they eat. The teachers, the choice of language, subjects that they take, most often than not, is indoctrinated, to pick. And if you're taking math, then you are a smart one. So a lot of times they feel that the world that they live in is not in their control, which creates a lot of overwhelm and pressure and stress, which then lowers down their immune system. And of course, brain health.
And you see the expectations that children born in this generation have. Because of the influences that create these expectations, that system gets overloaded very, very quickly. Because you are interacting with things that your brain actually hasn't matured to cope with.
Absolutely.
And yet, they're there.
They're there.
And you're having to deal with them.
So how do you diffuse that? Because I also imagine, come on. These things...
Please,
slowly.
Take a deep breath.
These things happened when we were younger. My parents did not ask my permission which school they wanted us to go to. We went. My mother insisted, okay, we go to this school because it's going to make you whatever. If she's cooking pounded yam and egusi soup that day, my friend, that is what you're going to eat. Yeah. If she says you're not going to Hannah's house, you're not going. If they say that you're going to have to do, you will do what they say.
Yes.
So whether you feel that, I'm trying to imagine telling Engineer Okoh that I'm feeling stressed because they made me, and then he would have a conversation and sit down and say, okay, well, do I understand?
How much of the world outside your parents' home did you know and understand? And compare that with your children, right?
Exactly. So now what I'm saying is, what we are saying today, did parents have a chance then to sit down with you and say, okay, I understand that you're going through this particular stress? There was no room for anything like that.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, how
did we die?
My brother, thank you very much. As you see me now, am I not okay? Am I not okay?
Should I say something that you would probably not call me again?
Okay?
Yes, please say something.
I disagree. I don't think so.
So my question, you don't think I'm okay?
No, not you. I'm sorry. I feel that I don't think so that we turned out okay.
Okay.
And I think that's one thing that we need to acknowledge. And I'll tell you why. The amount of... These are the 5 things which every family is going through it. Okay, let's call it out. Either each of us are going through COVID or have had deaths, or we have a cancer in the family, or we have an addiction in the family. And almost everything is then a trauma response. So no, we didn't turn out okay. We are having heart attacks. 40 to 50-year-olds are dying. Our parents are outliving us. Really, are we doing okay? Let's look at the statistics. Let's look at our families. Let's look at our extended families. We are not.
So let's talk about today now.
So we didn't turn out okay.
So in fact,
we are work in progress.
She has just found a roundabout way to tell me, do you have problems? Now let's get you some psychotherapy. So how do you diffuse that situation, looking at a 14, 13-year-old and say, okay, because it's almost as if we're saying our radar has to be up all the time and say,
absolutely.
Okay, is there something going on here?
Yeah.
I need to sit down and have a conversation.
See, I'll go back to what we got. I'll go back to the fact that at least most often than not, because of the way our world was, we got a sense of belonging. We fit in. That's our fundamental need as human beings. We are social beings. We'll die without each other. We will die without each other, right? So the reality is our children are not getting a sense of fitting in. So yeah, maybe our mothers didn't say, oh, are you stressed about something? But our mothers were present. Our mothers were having conversations. We at least had 20 sentences at the end of the day. Do we have even 5 sentences with our children these days? That's what I'm talking about. It is the connection. It's the conversation. It need not be we prep for it. Just a conversation. If we are doing laundry, are we talking? Hey, tell me what was exciting today? Or are we like, did you do this? Did you finish your homework? It's time to bed. You're being too much on your phone. Go to bed. Those are the conversations we have. Are we going deeper? Are we peeling layers? Are we having dining table conversations which make you think, aha, I never thought of that? Or are we having dining table conversations where, yeah, I don't like peas. Oh, but that's what it is you have to eat. Reality reality. This is a reality.
Good for you, eat it.
So when you have these sessions with these 9 to 19s, what do you tell them, or what do they tell you?
So this is now where
What
it gets
happens?
it gets interesting. Number one, I give them a safe space to just be, share, rant, cry.
We listen,
Release and just
judge.
yeah. And so when they do that, I have one of a very different kind of a policy that with children, I do not work with children whose parents are not ready to commit with time. So most of the work sometimes is of parents. And the only way your child coming to me once a week for 1 hour is going to shift anything in the way he thinks or believes is if the parents also change something in their environment. So when I see a child every week, and then after every 5 sessions, I see parents, sometimes just the dad, sometimes just the mom, sometimes addiction shows up, sometimes infidelity shows up, sometimes divorce shows up. It is then our job together as a family to have this conversation so that we can be going through tough times, and it's okay to not be okay, but we need to talk about it. We need to learn to be vulnerable. So if I'm teaching a child to be vulnerable, but if the dad is shutting them out, then I need to work with the dad and probably explain to him how important hugs are. Now, this is a dad, mind you, who never got a hug.
Yeah.
So he's going to look at me and say, are you kidding me? And then I have to walk him through the whole thing.
Or you hear things like, don't make these young boys into sissies.
Correct. But trust me, the dads that I have worked with, they come there to know that by doing this, if something is going to change in the way my child is going to turn up as a human being, it is worth it. Right? So it's a tough job. I'm not saying everyone can go through this, but with a child, then of course I teach them a lot of self-awareness work, helping them understand what they can control, first of all, and secondly, helping them realize the power of breath.
Are we saying that they don't get this anywhere? They don't get this at school? They don't get this at the religious organizations when they go to church, when they go to the mosque, when they go to temples? They don't get this?
They may get it, but not in the way where someone allows them the freedom of speech, exactly how they feel and think, without judging, shaming and blaming them.
You know, this discussion has moved from the adolescents to the parents.
It always is mixed. It's always a sync. It's enmeshed.
Yeah, because the parents have problems. It's not just you. We all do.
Yeah.
And since I belong to an older generation, you see, imagine parents in this country who were working just immediate post-independence. And look at what they were dealing with. The colonialism is still there. You've entered a system that nothing prepared you for. Not really. And so the best thing to do, since it's their system, you want to ape it and copy it. And when you look back, you realize, man, there must have been a serious struggle.
And it was.
Yes. Because there's a traditional way of doing things. Okay. You see, what for me marked it in my mind, I was reflecting on it, was if you had a parent who worked in the government, one of the things they inherited was a house. Because the person who had that position before had a big house. Now, this is somebody who comes from a village where houses are hut. Then you've given them 3 bedrooms and God knows how many other rooms. You know there's a problem here. How do you fill this room? So you suddenly find that most of our homes were full of relatives. So you grow up believing that it is important for a house to be full of people.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's our fundamental need as human beings.
Yes.
And if I may add here, this is very interesting. You took us to a very different thread of conversation, that during our parents' time, food, shelter and clothing was our fundamental need.
It was a need.
Yeah, we couldn't survive because those days financially we were not as abundant as today we are. Correct? So if you look at it, what they were doing was coming from a base of survival. All right?
Yes.
What we are doing now, this is where it gets interesting. At some point of time, we need to realize that a lot of us, probably a higher percentage, if I could say that right now, in this context, we know that the wealth that where we are, okay, after this, whatever income that we earn is not going to have a direct impact on our happiness. All right? And so we forget that, and we are still running the same way that our parents used to run, from the space of lack. Whereas today what we require is more of an emotional need being fulfilled, of a deeper connection being fulfilled, rather than food, shelter, clothing. Because we have 2 cars, we have 2 houses, we have children, we have families, we have a lot of money. But do we have a sense of connection? Do we have someone who we can talk to and they would not interrupt and say, wow, that's what you're going through? We don't. So we have to dial back down and go to our ancestor times and really learn to connect more now with each other.
And when we do that, you actually pass it on to your children because
they can see it.
Precisely. We learn more by what we see than what it is that we are told.
Exactly. That's how children learn. They mirror. If the way the parents talk to each other is what they learn.
People are untrustworthy nowadays, Binny. Those days you trusted them because there was a system that put them in check.
Correct.
It's your cousin, it's your extended cousin. Nowadays it's a friend. Say something tomorrow, everybody in the neighborhood knows about
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it. My husband comes home at 3 a.m. Yes. Everybody knows.
You
don't. True. Vinny, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for this conversation. It's been good, and it's been a very interesting one. Children are at home. We're wondering what do we do with these things for 2 months. These are the kind of things that we do.
Yeah.
Right? Have them have conversations. Have them have those moments and spend time with them.
Yeah, in fact, if I could just end it with this, that apart from 20 minutes of one-on-one time and deeper conversations, ensure that all of you follow a screen time regimen. No phones during meal times. Every face-to-face conversation, no phones. So if I'm talking with you, my phone is not there.
Away.
And that's how it needs to be between parents, between husband and wife. Or you could always excuse and say, hey, I just need to respond to this email. Let me finish that and I'll come back. That's still communicating.
Okay.
Correct? So screen time management and a lot of deep conversations, 20 minutes a day, more than enough. And then they'd know. Give them a lot of boredom, please. Let them be bored, because when you're bored, that's where creativity comes from.
Creativity kicks in.
Yeah.
Beanie Sharma is a psychologist, TEDx speaker, adolescent mental health consultant. We've been talking about adolescent mental health. Today is Friday, right?
Well done.
No, today's Friday, brother.
Good.
Yes.
So today is Friday. It's the final Friday of 2024. Come Monday, you have this blur of a month, and then 2025 comes in. So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the final weekend of 2024. Make it very, very good and fruitful and memorable. It's 10 a.m. Goodbye.